The meeting's now being recorded, and in the absence of chair and vice chair, we would need to have a vote to have a temporary chair for today's meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'm going to motion to nominate Chris Leo for chair. Leo, if you accept that nomination.
I second that.
Do I have a choice? No choice?
No.
I'll take it. Let's go.
You live in America.
So motion for Commissioner Leo to be temporary chair. Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Reluctantly, aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos? Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote.
I think we're going to need the talking points or.
Okay, I'd like to call the regular meeting of April 28th, 2025 to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Benninger?
Present.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Here.
Commissioner Leo?
Here.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Present.
Vice Chair Ramos? Chair Oliva? Chair quorum has been reached at 5:45.
Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to remind my fellow commissioners to turn your microphones on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please pull the mic close enough so we can all hear you. Members of the public may attend Planning Commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in the meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed via our portal at www.sana-ana.primegov.com/public/portal and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you would like to provide public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Join the meeting via Zoom. When the item you wish to comment on is being discussed, please enter meeting ID number 827-932-81071. Select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. Once called upon, remember to unmute yourself and state your name for the record. You can also join the meeting by calling 669-900-6833. Enter meeting ID number 827-932-81071. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, press *9 to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you're called upon, you may press *6 to unmute yourself. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. All speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I will alert you when your time is up.
I'm going to move on to public comments on non-agendized items tonight. And I wanted to let people know that item number 1 is going to be continued. So if this is your second time here and you want to give comments on item 1, you can give them in the non-agendized portion of the meeting. Don't want you to have to keep coming back unless you feel the need to come back again. So if you'd like to make comments on agendized item 1 that's going to be continued, you can do it now. After that, you can't make comments until the next meeting or whenever it's continued to.
Right, and I just wanted to note for the record that that item, when it comes back, will be a public hearing. So at that time, there'll be an opportunity to speak as well. And so you may speak now, but it will not be considered part of the public testimony for the public hearing. But you're welcome to do so. But I did want to note that for the record.
So, Clerk, are there any people who would like to speak on item not agendized for today?
If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please select the hand icon to let us know you would like to comment. If you're calling in and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please dial *9 and then *6 to unmute yourself. We have 2 requests to speak forms filled out.
Thank you. Okay, Enrique Adame.
Before we have our speaker, I just would like to say that we do have Spanish translators. If anybody would like to speak in Spanish, we have interpreters. Antes de continuar, quisiera decirles que tenemos intérpretes en idioma de español. Si le gustaría hablar, por favor, venga, acércase a esta área para poder ayudarle.
You got it. Marisol, you're up.
Proximity of the, I thought it was on, close proximity of our schools. So there's about 10 to 15 smoke shops and liquor stores that are near Valley High School, Carr, Diamond, Godinez High School, Mitchell. There's so many schools, but at the same time, it's also a hub for smoke shops. And we have the largest dispensary in California, just, a few blocks away. And as we're driving, we could actually even smell that within our community. And I don't know where the city draws the line and says, this is enough smoke shops, this is enough liquor stores, but our students are exposed to that. And as a concerned teacher and as a concerned parent, I would like for the city to consider reeling in those, licenses, especially within the vicinity of schools, where students go to and fro, and they're exposed to those unfortunate businesses. And maybe the city could also bring back DARE. I know that DARE has been put in the shelf, but given all of the problems that we face, and I see it in my school and within my community, just the drug abuse has just increased exponentially. So we have to do something. I know it's a monster of several faces, and we have to attack it someplace. So hopefully this will be the beginning of that, where people really care about what we need to do. Thank you.
Enrique Dama, you can now speak.
And now Marisol and I wish to do that. John Burley came in here, brought a chunk of asphalt. We got the streets fixed. We're pleading with you to please help us remedy this issue. Thank you, Your Honors.
Thank you. Now, do we just transition it, or is that what we do?
Just for the record, I want to say that Vice Chair Ramos has got at the meeting at 5:55.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for my delay. So we're starting the consent calendar, correct? Great. So moving on to the consent calendar. One motion can be used to approve all the items on the consent calendar.
I move to item number 1 and 2.
I second.
Whatever number it is.
So item A,
Yeah.
is that motion just for item A or also for B?
B.
So for both? Can you clarify the motion?
Item
Commissioner
A
Wood?
and B.
Thank you. Secretary, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Pham and Chair Oliva absent.
Thank you.
Tell her first item's continue, number 1's continue.
Thank you. Thank you. So so we're going to move on to the business calendar. That concludes the consent calendar. Now we're going to move on to the public hearing. So for members of the public, item 1 has been continued, as I was informed by 3 or 4 commissioners. Thank you all. So we're going to move on to item 2. No. Okay, thank you. Sorry, before moving on to item 2, I'm going to provide information on the public hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and review that process so that everybody knows exactly what to expect. So staff is going to provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. The public hearing will be opened. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name. You may state your address if you'd like. That's strictly voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. And your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Please note, decisions on these matters are final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Recommendations on this item will be forwarded to the City Council at a later date for final determination. So we're now going to move on to item 2. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-10 for the property located at 400 West Warner Avenue, located within the light industrial M1 zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Thank you. I see no disclosures. The case planner, Pedro Gomez, will provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Good afternoon, fellow commissioners. The second item is a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow an indoor sports facility and to allow ancillary outdoor business activities at 400 West Warner Avenue within Ward 4. The site's approximately 5.1 acres in size. It has a general plan designation of industrial and has a zoning designation of light industrial, or M1. To the north of the property is surrounded by Esquita Elementary School, single-family residence, and an unmanned telephone equipment facility. To the east, the site is surrounded by industrial, retail, service, and eating establishments. And to the south and west, the site is surrounded by parking, industrial, and warehouse uses. These next couple of slides show the existing site photos. The first slide shows the view looking west along the front of the property, and then along Birch Street. And here we have additional photos of the front elevation looking south and southeast. And just for some additional background, the site was developed as a warehouse building for Sears in 1957. In 2008, an ordinance was adopted which established indoor sports facilities as a conditionally permitted use in the M1 zone. Prior to the adoption of this ordinance, indoor sports and recreation were combined with indoor entertainment and were only permitted in the city's commercial zones and with a conditional use permit. The applicant submitted a development project in September of 2024. Since then, the applicant has worked with the city to address various concerns related to on-site and off-site improvements and has addressed various issues with the development standards. In response to city concerns, the applicant made several site plan changes with the final site plan design presented as part of this conditional use permit request. FootLab is a sports technology company specializing in soccer training through innovative technology. It was founded in 2016 by Rui Costa, a Portuguese former professional soccer player. The company is headquartered in Portugal, and FootLab's proprietary software and hardware provide precise, biomechanically relevant motion capture data offering unique sports analysis. It offers a comprehensive system for evaluating players' skills, measuring technique, speed, precision, reaction times, And FootLab has 4 facilities worldwide, with the first established in Lisbon, Portugal. The other 3 locations include Porto, Portugal, Dubai, Kazakhstan, and future facilities include Toronto and London, Ontario, Bahrain, and Oslo, Norway. If approved and constructed, the proposed FootLab in Santa Ana would be the first in the United States. And the applicant is proposing to occupy an existing 57,705 square foot warehouse building with the proposed indoor sports facility. The facility would be geared towards soccer, as previously mentioned, and would serve as a venue for soccer practice, soccer courses, training, and events, with integrated data analysis as discussed earlier. The sports facility would include several indoor soccer-based interactive stations where players of all ages and skill levels would be able to measure their technical abilities, train, and compete. And the facility would also include amenities such as lounge areas, locker rooms, food and beverage areas, and a clothing and shoe store. The overall facility would include ancillary outdoor training areas to include several fenced and netted soccer fields and station. And with the exception of a new 525 square foot concession stand, no new gross floor area is proposed as part of this project. To establish the facility, the applicant is proposing a complete interior renovation of the warehouse building that includes demolition of interior existing walls, furnishing, fixtures, and construction of new partition walls, ADA restrooms, new paint flooring, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. And as shown on the proposed floor plans as part of the commission packet, the indoor interactive stations include 3 soccer fields of varying sizes, skills testing areas for speed, precision, technique, kick power, vertical jumps, and free kicks, and areas for foot volley and street soccer. The scope of the work also includes resurfacing of the parking lot, new parking lot striping, wrought iron perimeter fencing, a trash enclosure, and improvements to lighting and landscaping. And off-site improvements would include the removal of an existing driveway approach along Warner Avenue, new curb and gutters along both Warner and Birch Street, reconstruction of 2 driveway approaches per city standards, 2 along Warner and the 3rd along Birch. The proposed exterior changes incorporate a dark, high-contrast palette, including black painted concrete walls, deep red metal panels, and sleek black aluminum louvers. And then these designs are carried over through the proposed concession stand. So here on the screen, we have the proposed site plan. You can see that Warner is along the top of the page and Birch along the right-hand side. The parking is situated along the north and east elevations, and the ancillary outdoor uses are located towards the south or rear of the site. Here we have the conceptual landscape plan, which shows that the new landscaping and lighting would be installed around the northern and eastern perimeter of the site. And this is the proposed interior floor plan. These next couple of slides show the proposed changes to the existing building. So these are the proposed elevations. And this elevation slide shows the proposed concession stand. You can see that it's designed in the same sort of materials and aesthetic as the main changes to the building. Staff has reviewed the applicant's request and has determined that the proposed indoor sports facility would not be detrimental to health, safety, and the welfare of the community, with the exception that all business activities be conducted and located within the enclosed structure. The project meets the requirements specified in the Santa Ana Municipal Code and is in compliance with the M1 development standards, including landscaping and parking. The site is surrounded by industrial land uses, and the project is not expected to create secondary impacts related to operations, parking, lighting, or noise to the surrounding community, or any sensitive land use. In addition, the conditions of approval have been included for the project that will ensure it remains in compliance with indoor sports facilities section of the Santa Ana Municipal Code and ensures that it does not become an attractive nuisance or disrupt surrounding land uses. Staff has also reviewed the applicant's request to modify requirements outlined in the municipal code to allow ancillary outdoor business activities, given the unique spatial demands of soccer and the substantial logistical and financial related challenges posed by requiring that all business activities be conducted inside. Staff has determined that there would be an undue hardship to the applicant and recommends relief from the provided standards. Specifically, soccer requires playing surface far larger than what is practical or economically feasible for most indoor facilities. And pursuant to FIFA regulations, standard outdoor soccer fields for adult play measures anywhere between 300 and 390 feet in length and 150 to 300 feet in width. Therefore, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission modify the requirements outlined in the municipal code as part of the overall conditional use permit approval to allow ancillary business activities outdoor. And staff also carefully analyzed the parking and circulation proposed for the project. The proposed use meets the definition of an unspecified use, and the project meets off-street parking requirements pursuant to the municipal code. To address potential traffic circulation concerns, conditions of approval would require the applicant to establish a parking management plan to ensure parking areas remain usable and open for customers to use during peak operational hours. For special events would require approval of a land use certificate as well as a parking study and operational plan to address the increased demand for parking, security, and/or impacts created by such events. And then lastly, in the event that the site cannot accommodate the parking demand at any given time, and to avoid generating a nuisance, hindrance, or problem with either on-site or off-site parking and/or circulation, the applicant is required to devise and implement a plan to relieve that situation. As proposed, the project is consistent with the general plan land use designation of industrial, which allows for a broad range of employment, light manufacturing, and commercial supportive uses. The project would introduce a compatible community serving amenity within a primarily industrial corridor, while also providing opportunities for economic activation and recreational engagement. Approval of the project would be consistent with several goals and policies in the general plan, specifically goals 1, 2, and 3 of the land use element, goals 1 and 3 of economic prosperity, goals 1 and 2 of open space, goal 1 of community, and goal 1 of noise element, and lastly, goal 2 of the urban design element. The use would help generate additional economic growth and stability in the city and would provide for recreation within an area of the city that is underserved by existing parks. The proposed site plan has been carefully designed to minimize any impacts to the surrounding community. Pursuant to CEQA, the project is exempt from further review per Class 32 for infill development, and there's no fiscal impact associated with the project. Staff would like to note that we are recommending an additional condition of approval that was not included as part of the report to the Planning Commission. And if the Planning Commission is amenable, the condition would require that any wall signage that may be proposed contain the name Santa Ana and not just Orange County. And staff would kind of work with the applicant to identify kind of where that would be located, as sign permits would be required prior to installation. So with the additional condition of approval, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number 2025-10 to allow an indoor sports facility and ancillary outdoor business activities as condition. Staff does note that the applicant is in attendance along with the property owner and the project architect, should there be questions directed towards them. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Does the commission have any comments or questions for staff? Commissioner Leo?
No questions at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, Petra, just a quick question on the last item to be added potentially with the signage. I guess I just want to make sure that, Eric, are we essentially, or staff essentially proposing anything that would, let's say this, minimize the overall usable kind of square footage that they have, right? So like Orange being, or Orange County, being maybe slightly smaller than Santa Ana, Orange County. I guess I just don't want to penalize the applicant for having a smaller sign that says Santa Ana. So if we're basically adding in Santa Ana, I guess theoretically, would it be possible to not include that as under their maximum allowable signage, or just being able to kind of allow some flexibility there? So if we do add Santa Ana, it's a little bit bigger rather than just a little bit more limited. Does that question make sense?
I think I understand your concern, Commissioner. By us requiring them to include Santa Ana, we'd be kind of expanding, the area that they have for their own sort of business advertising. As far as I am aware, the site has flexibility with the number of signs they can include. In these types of situations, there's maybe 3 wall signs that they can include. And there's also the possibility of doing a monument sign as well if they wanted to do on-site signage. So what I can recommend is that maybe we don't limit the use of Santa Ana necessarily on like a wall, but in any sort of variation possibly of signage that's proposed that can be left up to interpretation for staff.
Yeah, because I just want to give you the flexibility to basically say like, hey, don't count Santa Ana against them. So whatever they want, wherever they want to include it, it's basically free signage, I guess, is what I would like to include in the motion.
Yeah, we have enough, staff has enough discretion in their review of the sign standards and how they apply to implement the commission's goals if your colleagues share that desire.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Wu?
As I understand it, we're approving a conditional use permit, but some of the plans, such as the parking plan, will not be in place because we won't see it until it actually is in business, right? Is that's why the delay in not including it and taking it out ahead of time? I'm just asking for clarification.
Of course. Thank you, Commissioner. You are approving a conditional use permit to allow the use. And in addition to that, there's a request made by the applicant to allow outdoor activities as part of that conditional use permit. What I described as part of the parking management plan, right off the bat, if this were approved, there's one requirement that's required, and that's the parking management plan to address high peak demands. So normal operations that are considered high peak times, and those are usually in afternoons, when kids are out of school, or when normal sort of operations tend to peak. Outside of that, there's a requirement for, if there's special events or anything like that, there'd be a land use certificate that would be required. In addition to the land use certificate, there'd be a parking study required to ensure that there's enough parking elsewhere or on the site to address the attendance of people that's outside of the normal operations, the day-to-day.
And staff will be monitoring that.
Staff would have the review authority for that administratively, and we would be working with our colleagues in Public Works, specifically traffic engineering, to ensure that the information provided meets safety, traffic pattern, circulation. So it'd be a process that would be done administratively, but reviewed through our technical staff.
And just like a little more clarification, the hours of operations are what? I couldn't find it in the document.
There should be 7 a.m. to 10.
7 to 10, okay. And the ancillary business is the outdoor activity?
Correct.
Okay. Since they have a beverage bar, does the beverage bar, they're not applying for a liquor permit of any kind, right?
Not at this time.
Oh, okay. So in improving this, there could be a possibility in the future for them to apply for one.
That's correct, and it'd be subject to another CUP to be reviewed by the Planning Commission.
Okay. And how many jobs will be created as a result of this project?
That information isn't available to staff, but again, we do have our applicant who may be able to provide additional information about, construction-related jobs and just permanent jobs when it's fully operational.
Since soccer's popular in the city, I think their activity is kind of consistent with our recreation plan and the general plan. But I was also wondering, since the proximity to the school, and there are going to be 2 large soccer fields there, the attractiveness, how will that be regulated in terms of fencing or an access from the public? Is it completely open, or will it be fenced in, or?
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to clarify, are you asking about potential sort of traversing from the elementary school to the business that's being proposed?
No, I'm not asking yet, but that's my follow-up question is that will there be, joint use in terms of access by public institutions of the city, since we lack a lot of space sometimes. That's one thing. And the other thing is just how secure is that? It's a big, that's a big lot and a big soccer field. And I'm just also looking, it's attractive for people after 10 o'clock, okay, but it's also attractive to youth on the weekend to kind of use it as a place to play. So I'm just curious, is it fenced off, secure, or what?
Sure. To answer your first question, Commissioner, this is a private sort of proposal, private business. There's no sort of relationship with the school. If the applicant were to choose to do some sort of community events or anything like that, they'd absolutely be within their right to do that. But that, again, may be a better question for our applicant if there's any sort of relationship that they're proposing with the school. In terms of security, there is limited fencing proposed for the outdoor areas, and we have a wrought iron fencing proposed along Birch Street. The fields individually themselves are proposed to be netted. And then just generally with improvement of the site, we have new lighting. Obviously, we have the sort of outdoor soccer field lighting that would provide just kind of a general presence that's not really afforded right now. So in terms of deterring sort of any illicit activity, its improvement would help do that.
Yeah, and I think we approved a similar kind of project near South Coast Plaza once before. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Bettinger, do you have any questions for staff?
Yes, I do. Thank you. A couple on it. One right now, this building was built almost 75 years ago. Obviously, the use of asbestos back then was very prominent. Will the city, do they require any review for asbestos in pipes, vents, things of that nature inside that building?
Thank you, Commissioner. All improvements to the site would require building permits. And so if there's any proposal for demolition of the interior, which there is, then they'd be required to comply with all safety regulations. And some of those may even include clearing it with AQMD or asbestos reports to ensure that it's, if there is signs of asbestos, it's done, the removal is done appropriately for specialized individual or technical individual that's kind of licensed to do that and has been trained to do that. But any sort of work is going to be consistent with state and local regulations for that.
Good. Also, as it's being proposed, I don't see any stands or sitting areas around those soccer fields. And so it'll just be standing room only around those fields?
As far as I understand, yes. I think with the analysis of the occupancy for the entire site, both the indoor and the outdoor, having dedicated stands like that increases the occupant load for the outdoor areas. And I think it just complicated the review of this. But the architect is available tonight that might be able to speak on that a little bit more.
You also got to one of my other questions, and it sounds like there will be lighting so that you can play soccer on those fields after dark, correct?
Correct. The hours of operation are until 10 p.m. And so, during this time, those might not be needed until 8:30. But during, daylight savings, you could be as early as 6 p.m. when it's needed.
Very good. Also, they're going to be redoing the parking lot. Do we have any requirements from the city that they put in electrical charging stands for electric vehicles?
Thank you, Commissioner. We do. And that would be consistent with building code requirements and energy requirements. I forget they're called our Cal Green requirements. Both have chargers available and future charger ready. They'll have the infrastructure ready for them in the event that later on they're going to be compatible with like the installing of the EV chargers.
Since they're proposing 160 parking spaces, how many of those would be electric charge?
Currently, we have, 116 parking stalls. Of those parking, 25 stalls would be designated as electrical vehicle capable, and 4 would be designated as electrical vehicle charging stations. So 4 would be ready from the start, and then the additional ones would be capable. So the infrastructure would be installed, and if the future need were there, they'd be able to install the charging equipment afterwards without having to kind of cut into the asphalt.
Driving by there today, those outside fields are really going to consume 99% of that land behind the building. Any idea what percentage of extra space is going to be there once the fields go in?
Commissioner, could you repeat that question one more time?
Okay, I was just looking at the back field today. I drove through that area. No size of a soccer field because I work at the Great Park. Boy, it's just going to be horseshoed in. I don't see much spare space back there.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the question was regarding how much of the site the fields are using?
Well, I'm just curious how much open space will be there that's not on the field for people to stand up and watch and things of that nature.
I see. Yeah, one of the kind of comments about the report is that these aren't full size, they're not full regulations fields like you would see at the Great Park. I think we've discussed that
Yes.
previously, but these would be kind of just not the full size. And so in terms of sort of spectators or anyone who might be able to attend, there is some area to kind of spectate along the sides of the fields, but the fields themselves would be netted. So there isn't an opportunity for people to stand inside of the field if you're not participating or playing. It'd just be as people are leisurely kind of walking around, spectating, possibly some folding chairs. But the plan is, as I understand it, is operationally you have indoor and outdoor uses, and even within those indoor and outdoor uses, there's multiple activities happening. So in terms of like spectating for the sole purpose of viewing one soccer match, you'll have kind of dispersed sort of community of people out there. And so I don't think there's like an expectation for a big group of people to huddle around one field at any one time.
Gotcha. Because obviously the south side fields, there are going to be, we'll ask this for the applicant, but they're got to be forming internal leagues that, in order to use those outer fields. That's going to be my guess, but I'll ask the applicant of that.
That's a better question for our applicant, yes.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. I don't have any questions for staff at this time. Are there any other questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, I think oh my gosh, Vice Chair. Oh my gosh. So with the area, I guess in the back, I'm just trying to understand what is going to be modified. So it looks like there's one section on the west side of the building, closer to Warner, that'll need a slight demolition for a current ramp that looks like it's probably for transportation between one structure and another. So, sorry, it's the, I guess up here, it's the top left portion of the map.
Let me see if I can provide a floor plan maybe that shows it.
Yeah, because I guess, we're just trying to understand that, was there any existing rail spur that's still there, easement that impacted that particular part of the site? So it would be on the west side of the building. It just looks like there's a spur line there, and I know sometimes there's like remnant easements, and just like wondering if that's coming into play at all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me just take a quick look at our aerial.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember noting a rail, because it doesn't go all the way to Guernsey, because there's an adjacent set of buildings next to
Right,
it.
it's just usually you can just kind of tell with like, oh my gosh, there's, again, if we go to an aerial view, and maybe you might be seeing it, but you can kind of see where the curves are happening. If you follow that line all the way south, there's like that little spur that goes in there, and as a logistics building, it would have had some train, or at least a rail spur go to the back of it. So just kind of confirming that there were no issues with any abandoned rail spurs or anything that kind of comes into play here.
Commissioner, are you maybe referring to this sort of line here, possibly, or?
Yeah, because if you follow that further south, it joins up the old Pacific Electric right-of-way line that's down there. But
I see it, yeah.
Number one, if that was taken into consideration, if there was nothing there, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. I just know that sometimes, like with these abandoned easements for specific rail lines, then there could be some issues potentially if that's where the trash enclosure is going. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a gutter that water just kind of traverses here, but I do maybe see what you mean, but it's not on this site. It's across Central possibly, but it's not something that would be affected by this proposal.
Okay, yeah, and it really was just something I was looking at, mostly because I'm trying to always fully utilize, I guess, the full amount of space. So I imagine this is going to be probably one of the more dead areas to the building, right? There's kind of going to be like a lot less activity out there at this particular location. It's mostly for trash pickup. Okay. So that was just question one. And then number two, with the applicant, were there any discussions around kind of what that time frame was looking like? So just internationally, when you have these types of kind of smaller pitch, urbanized soccer pitches, they tend to operate on a much more, if not 24-hour basis, much more further on into the evening. And again, not to say that that's something we'd want to see here, but was that something that the applicant had even brought up or discussed as far as expanded hours?
It was. The indoor sports facility development standards and operational standards in the light industrial stipulate 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. as the strict hours. It was brought up a need to potentially go beyond that. As part of the review that we did, like we did for the sort of need for the outdoor facility and identifying a hardship, there wasn't a hardship that we were able to identify to allow that extra hour beyond, or 2 hours beyond what the parameters are at this point.
Okay, and so then that would require more of a modification to the actual indoor sports facility section and standards rather than any sort of exemption here?
It would be a similar request to what we are requesting as part of the outdoor activities, because technically the indoor sports facility only allows operations inside. But there's a code section in the municipal code that allows an applicant to request waivers from those and the commission to consider them if they're deemed to be an undue hardship. And that's kind of what we talked about the need for larger fields. So if there was an undue hardship for, say, the hours of operation, that technically could have been a request presented to the planning commission. In our review, we just didn't see one.
Yeah, no, totally understandable, especially if that's like their standard kind of like box of hours. For I guess policy consideration as we're looking at this, I think the city's after hours parks shut down because we realistically have no method to enforce any kind of like general safety provision, right? So we can't really send out officers and rangers to every single park. But when you have these opportunities for kind of more active just general activity and exercise in sports facilities that are privately run, I don't necessarily see a harm in allowing an extension of hours. And again, I don't think that that's maybe necessarily something we're going to be looking at here with this particular project at this time. But I would take it into consideration of expanded hours after a trial run and that sort of thing, but then figuring out how we get to that end goal. I guess I would leave it up to staff, but that's kind of where my mind is going, at least in this site, because I do tend to see midnight soccer is not necessarily being a bad thing, and anywhere we can get additional positive activity on South Main and this section of Warner, I tend to be supportive of.
Thank you. Yes, like any conditional use permit, the applicant may theoretically come back and request modifications to the approval. Actually, it's part of the conditions of approval. We have a condition that would have us review administratively the operations after 1 year. And just as a side note, the reason we didn't feel that this would warrant any sort of additional time extension is just because its proximity to residents as well. The current operations and plans wouldn't present the problems. We just want to be mindful of sort of like its close proximity to the residences across Warner. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Are there any questions for staff at this time? Great, we can always come back afterwards as well. So with no more questions for staff, the public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter? You may come to the front.
Hi, my name is Andres Cuenca. I'm the owner of Food Lab, California. I'm just a person representing a great team here in Portugal. I want to thank you all for your time and for giving us the opportunity to present this amazing project for us. We are truly excited to have found the perfect location here in Santana. I want to emphasize that I will act with integrity and in full compliance with all rules and regulations. I am fully committed to being a good neighbor and a great operator. One of my main objectives is to make a positive impact on Santana community through this amazing sport. With the World Cup coming up, the timing could not be better to open Food Lab Santana. And our goal together with our partners Cristiano Ronaldo and Rui Costa is to open the first Food Lab in USA and the biggest one in the world. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Staff, if folks wanted to ask questions to the applicant, would now be the appropriate time.
Yes, you can ask questions to the applicant now, or you can take other comments and give the applicant a chance to provide a final rebuttal against any comments that were made and then ask questions. But typically you ask questions of staff once the public hearing is closed.
Thank you. So I'll give commissioners right now to ask questions of the applicant. Commissioner Leo, do you have any questions?
First of all, thank you for looking at Santa Ana. Second of all, it is probably one of our greatest needs is activities for children in this community. Third of all, as you know, Orange County is a hub for soccer as well. I have a great understanding of what's happening. PSG is going to be at UCI for the Club World Cup. We have Inter Milan and others, and it is the right location for it. I am in agreement with Commissioner Escamilla about should we lengthen it to midnight. It is something that can be used because it is indoor. You have plenty of club teams in the county that look for fields, especially when it rains the 5 days out of the year that they cannot get on grass. And most places, Santa Ana has more turf fields than other places. I think about Newport, I think they have one. Costa Mesa, I don't even know if they have one that's open to the public. So I think that you made a right decision. But I am interested in if we could figure out a way to extend it to midnight. Just knowing I live by Segerstrom High School, and there was a YMCA field there, and that went till midnight because there were so many people that want to play. There are people that work night jobs, right? So they want to get out and play. So it is something that I'm open to just from the standpoint of we don't have the facilities, and if they're going to put in this world-class facility here, there's no reason why we shouldn't. But appreciate you selecting Santa Ana.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, probably should have asked this of staff as well, but do you have any kind of concession stands, kind of just food and drinks and stuff available? Well, obviously non-alcoholic drinks, but just food and beverages and snacks and food here on site?
Yes, we're gonna have a small cafeteria, like to provide food and drinks.
Okay, perfect. And I guess that's the other thing, and then the reason why I ask is typically this is a stretch where you tend to get a lot of just food trucks kind of outside, which is totally okay, but probably going in there you want to know that that's happening. And I know sometimes trying to get them on your particular site, actually kind of within the fence line, then that would be a whole another thing for them. But I know they tend to do pretty well out there, and just to be aware of it, that'll be something you might want to talk to them too, to kind of get to to let them know of the changes that will be happening in that area, and hopefully, kind of start that good neighbor relationship early. Perfect. That's it.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. I'll go ahead and ask a question as well, just based off some of the comments we've heard. But are your other Foot Lab facilities open until midnight or later?
Yes, the one in Dubai, there is open until midnight, and we can do it. If we can allow the city and we can apply, we were asking for more time to be open because I play football and I play at 10 p.m. is when I can play, and yes.
And until what time were you asking staff?
We asked like until, what was the time? Like 11, no? 11.
I think the original was 11.
Yeah, original.
Okay, thank you. I think it'll come back
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Commissioner Wu?
I'm going to ask you some questions because I don't think we're comprehending what you are proposing here. Because in the European sense of football and your own playing paths, this is not a park and rec facility, right? It's a training facility to develop world-class football players, right?
Yeah.
But it also is a social club for players at that caliber league standing. People who may be playing in Portugal one day, playing in Dubai, and then, playing in Asia. This is a concept that we think about our little soccer leagues, okay? And I don't think we understand the European thing, because this goes way back in terms of history of the Olympics and the competitions of nations around the football. So maybe you need to kind of clarify more that it's not a sports facility, it's not a community center, but it's a private club, like a private golf club. But you're also training and developing, strengthening their playing, breeding, leg running around and technique, right? Especially technique. So your facility will have those things Yeah, am I right?
Yeah.
I just want clear, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want you to be able to explain to us so we have it on record.
Yes, yes. The facility, there is that part of the professional part that we can level them through the technology, but also it's kids that they want to play there, also in the fields outside. And the idea of making these food labs around the world is to find the kids that they don't have the opportunity and the money to be show around the world. Because Cristiano, when he started this business, it was like, when I was a kid, I couldn't, there was a lot of players that they were better than me, and they couldn't make it because nobody saw them. So we have from birthday parties from the kids, from the schools, until the professional level. So we're going to have the academy there, like for professional players.
So as part of your business model, you have incorporated some social purposes
Of
in
course.
terms of helping knowing our city population here.
Yes.
To make the opportunity.
Yes.
And I wasn't asking for that. I was more looking at the, the World Soccer Club competition.
Yeah.
The finalists are usually Portugal, Spain,
Yeah. Yeah.
those countries. And so, and I'm kind of looking at who you will be developing, that someone will have the opportunity to rise to that level here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. Commissioner Benninger?
First, let me re-echo what Commissioner Leo said. I want to thank you for coming to Santa Ana. I see it as a good way of improving the football skills all through Santa Ana, even high schools and what have you. And as you know, you see I have an OC soccer club
I saw it. I saw
a
it.
supporter. And sport is growing. I understand there's going to be a women's league coming to Orange County next year. So it is growing. So I really appreciate it. Question I do have, though, financially, you make your money by charging for these lessons. What would you anticipate a charge would be for an average child?
Like for all the people that is going to be there?
Well, I don't know how your program works, whether you work on specific skills or whether you have a training.
Yeah, we have the training. We have the circuit. You pay for through the circuit, and to have your technology is going to show your scores and everything, and that's the way you can see the kid is improving or improving. From that, from the important teams that they're going to bring coaches from around Orange County to train with their club and with their team. So all that is income from the facility.
And just typically, what do you charge by the hour? Or how do you make money?
Yeah, it depends. There is a lot of if it's individual, if it's with group, if it's a team, if it's a kind of we're gonna sponsor some kids. So there is a lot of range, no, between $20 up to $80 per session individually,
Okay.
All the coaches are FIFA coaches, regulated by FIFA coaches, and we're going to be working very close with Portugal, and they're going to be here also helping us to do all the recruitment and all the process.
Excellent. Just out of curiosity, does FIFA approve your operations? Do they look at your operations and approve them?
Yes, around the world.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. I go along with my other commissioners. I think you need that until midnight ability. You may not use it at first, but I think I like to see it put in so that you don't have to come back and ask for additional time. And I truly see the need for it, and you're in a beautiful location that you don't have that most folks that you can't operate. Those fields are going to be lit for late operation, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To go back to my earlier question, do you then reform internal leagues then to use those fields late at night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. I think I've got my questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. And then, sorry, I have one more question. So a few commissioners mentioned some of the schools that are nearby. The commissioner asked a little bit about cost. So Santana is overall low-income community, there are a lot of children. Is there interest in working closely with the
course.
city and the schools to provide free services for some of that youth?
Yes, of course.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, thank you, Vice Chair. So one more question for you, and not an absolute requirement, but I actually really want to comment on the good work that your architect and your design team did. I think the building actually looks really cool, and it's like really leaning into the industrial look. I love the color scheme. I'm just wondering, because you have so much of a fence line, if it would be possible for you or the team to just add like a red gate, like so wherever your gates are, instead of having it just being solid black, you can still kind of carry over that same red color that you're doing for the highlight. Again, just because it's going to be such a massive fence that goes across the entire corner, if you just do that little black and red, I think it'll make it pop out from the street view a little bit more. And again, just on brand with the company.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, for me, that's perfect. Perfection.
Thank you. You can take a seat for now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Recording Secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item? Yes, I opened it before the applicant spoke.
Yes, we have received a total of 1 email in the form of public comment for this item before the 3:30 p.m. deadline, which has been distributed to the commission and posted online. If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you're calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and then *6 to unmute yourself. We currently have 1 public speaker.
Oh, I thought you said Zell.
Thank you. So I'm gonna, there was one person that turned in a request to speak card, Tomas Fernandez. Can you please come forward? Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tomas Fernandez. I live on Pardon Street, a few yards from this project. Today, I want to express my deep concern about the proposal of this project to build an indoor soccer complex in this neighborhood with more than 50,000 square feet. My main concern is the direct impact this project is going to have with the already existing problem of parking. This is, with all due respect, this is not Portugal, this is not Dubai, this is Santa Ana. I grew up in this neighborhood, I live in this neighborhood. I want to leave some pictures of all the streets around this project, and it's a nightmare. And this project is only going to make it worse. I'm going to leave these pictures right here for you to look at them with the secretary. Furthermore, this type of facility is going to bring noise, heavy traffic, trash, and events with large crowds, especially on weekends and at night. And as we heard, there's no guarantee this applicant is not going to ask for an alcohol permit down the road, which I think is a bad idea. All these things mentioned, I strongly believe is going to decrease the property value of this neighborhood. I'm also very concerned about the transparency. Most of my neighbors, they don't know about this. I just received this letter last Monday. So I don't see that as normal. I'm not against sports. I'm not against development. And of course, I'm not against Mr. Cuenca at all. But I do firmly believe that a project this size must be planned responsibly. I ask you to vote no to this proposal and listen to the voices of the people that live there. In addition to that, I don't know if we have done the study or who can answer this question, how much money the city of Santa Ana is going to lose when all the leagues and all the clubs start renting this facility and start renting the facility from the city of Santa Ana. So my point is, yeah, the soccer leagues, the clubs, they rent the facilities at the city of Santa Ana, like all the parks and all these places where they can play sports. Now they're going to pay this rent to this individual. So this is going to hurt the community, and this is going to hurt economically the city of Santa Ana. Thank you very much for your time, and I ask you to reconsider this. reconsider this. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Do we have speakers on Zoom?
Yes.
If
Hello?
you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak.
Hello?
Gabriela Mejia, you may now speak.
Hello? Hello? I'm having issues with my phone. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So, I live here in the community, born and raised here in Santa Ana. So have my kids gone through every school here up to Segerstrom. We've been here for over, I'm going to be 50 years old, 48. So I live here in Santa Ana and I work right across at Washington Elementary. I'm an office manager there. Work for the Santa Ana Unified School District for 20 some years now. And we bought our home here, our first home, right across from where you guys plan to build this or construct this thing for. We're going to be here 26 years now. My father-in-law has bought his home right across here next to Washington too. Over 50 years living here. So all the families here in the community are older people. We know each other, including to Mr. Fernandez. We've known him too for 50 years. Not me personally, but the others. So to me, I'm between two schools where I see kids, I know families, and I've seen the ups and downs of Santa Ana. And lately, with Mayor Amezcua, a lot of things have improved. And to literally see the city come up with our own people, just a few weeks ago, we had Alexis Rocha come to our school. This is a kid that was home-based, homegrown. For you guys to say you guys are going to come and bring someone from Portugal, yes, I am not against sports. My son played baseball, including he was offered to play the major leagues. They play soccer too at El Sol. So I'm not against the soccer thing. I'm against the traffic. I'm against the devaluating of our home values. You guys not taking into consideration the neighborhood, all the people that have lived here in this area, the schools. We have witnessed crashes from right here, just from a few blocks that have gone into our things. Now, if you guys build something, later on bring alcohol, this is just going to create chaos. People just driving people crazy, getting out of there, trying to get to their homes, trying to get into their practices, wherever they're driving from, is going to create this chaos, this traffic that's not safe for our kids, because I've witnessed it. I've witnessed motorcycle accidents where people are just driving like nuts because they're trying to get from Fountain Valley to Irvine, down back here, and our kids in our city pays the consequences. And honestly, I've seen Mayor Amezcua done a lot of changes for somebody to come from Portugal and try to build something and says they're going to come and give it to the community, which is not true, because this is going to be a private club. And so honestly, I know you're not going to probably pick more than probably 10 kids, maybe at all, just to kind of look good. But this is a private club. This is not something that's coming into our community. We need people that are really bringing in stuff to the community, like Alexis Rocha, like other people that are really giving back to the community. We don't want someone that's coming out to find, this place is available. Let's just build it right there. Live here and come and talk to every single person, because I've already talked to the whole community. They didn't even know that this was going on. So honestly, I think the city of Santa Ana really needs to look over and talk to our community, open it back up so that people are aware. Right now, there's a city of Santa Ana.
Thank
Santa
you.
Ana
Your time's up.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other speakers on Zoom?
We don't have additional speakers.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask the applicant if he'd like to come up and respond to any of the public comments that were heard. And you'll have 5 minutes.
First of all, I'm not from Portugal, I'm from Mexico. I just want to say that, again, we are going to operate with all the rules that has been implemented. We've been taking care of the traffic. We have here our traffic engineer. It's not going to be crowded outdoor. We're not going to be cars parking on the streets. We want to make this a great facility, and that's it. I don't know what else to say about it.
Thank you. You can take a seat. Are there any questions for staff at this time? I have a few. Do I need to close the public hearing? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, given that members of the public have spoken both in person, via Zoom, and the applicant also had a chance to respond. So closing the public hearing. And now we're going to go back to questions to staff from the commission. Commissioner Benninger, go ahead and start.
I'd just like to ask staff, what was your procedure as far as notifying the neighborhood of this project?
Thank you, Commissioner. Outside of the legally required public noticing, which was sent to a radius of 1,000 feet from the project site, staff did also reach out to neighborhood leaders of Sunwood Central Neighborhood, Santa Ana Memorial Park, and Delhi Neighborhood. This site is not located in any one neighborhood association or area, but those 3 neighborhoods are surrounding it. So we proactively reached out to those neighborhood leaders to inform them of the project, the agenda when it would be posted, and staff made themselves available for questions. I received one comment saying that they're supportive of anything that's good for kids, but that's it.
I also like to point out that the building and actual land who owns that?
You're asking about property ownership?
Well, here's my point. I share the concern for parking, but I also know that behind them is a large area, and I just don't, there used to be old Sears for scratched appliances and what have you, and they're no longer there. It's a big open area, parking lot per se. Is that available to this applicant if they need to use it?
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't know that any conversations preliminarily have been had with any adjacent properties about overflow parking, just because it's not a requirement from the get-go. The parking management plan is only for the peak hours, but I understand that the interest of the applicant is to have special events. And so as part of that, they would be required to have a parking plan and identify sites that are not this site for overflow parking. So if this were to move forward, I imagine at that point the applicant would engage in conversations with surrounding businesses that have those sort of parking availability after hours. The staff report kind of talks about the fact that there's industrial uses, that when maybe there is peak hours for this or special events, those businesses would be closed or even on weekends. So there may be an availability of parking spaces. It's just that those conversations, to my knowledge, haven't happened.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. Commissioner Wood, do you have any questions for staff at this time?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Thank you. I have a few questions for staff after hearing some of the public comments. So similar to Commissioner Benninger, I wanted to ask more about what community outreach efforts were. And then I thought of another recent project that came to this commission where there were concerns from some of the neighbors in nearby neighborhoods. And at that time, that applicant offered to continue the item to give time to meet with those residents and address some of those concerns. Is that a similar practice that could happen here if the applicant was open to it and the commission?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I think to clarify, the commission requested a continuance. And then after that sort of dialogue and conversations, after the project was continued, the applicant volunteered to have a community meeting. But I don't think proactively they volunteered to have one. It was the conversations from the Planning Commission and I think the action. But certainly it is a question we can ask the applicant if they're amenable to having that sort of dialogue with the community. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I respond to a question, Madam Chair, to you?
Not yet. I'm not going to, I have other questions and then.
It's regarding postponement and the last meeting we had where we postponed it.
So I want to
the
finish my
neighborhood
questions,
association were
Commissioner Wu,
notified,
and then come back.
And they didn't hold meetings. They didn't notify their people, or if they did,
Commissioner Wu, I'd like to continue my questions. Thank you. Staff, my other questions, so I know a community member raised concerns around this facility potentially being competition to the city and some of the spaces that it has available to other soccer activities. So in the past, I've heard that there is very high demand for some of the soccer fields, so just want to check to see if that remains to be true and if you all see that this would be any competition or would it just be another space that folks can use?
Madam Vice Chair, in just looking at the proximity of the parks in the area, it looks like most of them are designed to have outdoor baseball fields or softball fields. And so, there's a need for this type of sort of activity. And so, I don't know that I can respond necessarily to is this like competition to the city parks, but I just know as staff who analyzed this project and just a serious park deficient city that we're at, and just even looking at the park that is available, like Memorial Park or Delhi Park, there's not sufficient space for soccer. But there is for baseball fields, softball fields, but there needs to be, in our minds, an area for sort of additional recreational activities like soccer. So that's kind of why we're making the recommendation for approval.
Thank you. So I'm hearing that to an extent there's a need for additional space for soccer activities. And then just my last question, so if you could just clarify, so at this time, the applicant is not requesting any permit for alcohol sales, correct? And at this time, you're unaware of a desire to do that as well?
That's correct. As part of the operations and what's being proposed, there is no sort of alcohol distribution or sales. The food and beverage area would be used for those special events, for someone to host a party for children's activities or anything related to the event. But if there is a need or a desire to sell alcohol, the applicant would have to return to the same commission to request that, and then be a public hearing process with the same sort of radius that is the 1,000-foot radius for notification. So there'd be an opportunity for the public to engage in that conversation. But right now, there is no alcohol proposed.
Thank you for clarifying that. Right now, we're not considering any alcohol sales for this project. Those are all my questions at this time. Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, and this actually, I should have asked Public Works, so just wondering, are there any scheduled or, anticipated sidewalk improvements on that area to the east of the site? Just trying to understand whether or not that's going to kind of just remain sidewalkless. I imagine this is just as an industrial track, not an area that we're planning for any sort of sidewalk improvements in the near future.
Do you want to? Sounds like
Yeah,
sounds like a no, but I want to make sure that she has an opportunity to speak if she.
Good evening, Commissioners and Commissioner Escamilla. At this time, because it's an industrial area with rolled curbs, I'm not aware of any type of omnibus sidewalk type of project in that area.
Okay, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I figured, and because I was just trying to figure out, again, because one of the sources of probably pedestrian travel might end up being kind of from the location to the food trucks and back. I don't think it'll make too much of a difference, but just trying to kind of wrap my head around that right now.
Yeah, and in fact, it would almost encourage them to go into an industrial area, which isn't really necessarily the best place for pedestrians.
Yeah, okay.
So, thank you.
And, okay, so that was for Public Works. And then I guess just procedurally, so from my understanding and recollection of the conversation, we have all of the recommended items, but then we also have maybe potentially 3 more. One being the staff item to, include and incorporate Santa Ana within the signage wherever possible and feasible without necessarily negating or counting against their overall signage and square footage. So basically free signage wherever they plop in Santa Ana for the Santa Ana portion of it, and directing staff to be okay with that. I had a modification request potentially of just the design. I don't even know if we have to include it in the plans for adding kind of the red gates, again, just to kind of break up the massive or the very large and extended fencing. I'm not sure if that was something that was okay with the other commissioners, basically because they have such a big, long fence and it's already going to be a basic black wrought iron fence, just popping in that little bit of color that matches the building to kind of create a cohesive design for the entire site. No, okay, I think I got at least 3 maybe on nods, I don't know. And then the final, one other modification potentially on the hours. That's the one where I wasn't actually clear as to whether or not we could make that recommendation here and now. Not that, because we would have to find some kind of undue hardship or whether or not there is just some general flexibility in allowing them to operate until midnight. So I need probably a little bit more clarification on that item.
So in general, for the commissioners, when you make a motion, I just recommend like making the motion and then, asking it's on, it's just not picking it up. Thank you. But tell me if you can't hear me. So I would recommend making the motion and then through the standard process of a second and all that friendly amendments, polling your commissioners that way for support. The fencing, the signage, and the hours of operation, I'd say firstly, it'd be important to check with the applicant if they're amenable to those. And then, or at least confirm. And then secondly, for the hours of operation, the code would require that you make a finding of hardship similar to what we described earlier with the outdoor, which is not impossible, there we go, but would require sort of like an evaluation on your part from the dais to sort of direct staff to come up with that finding. In the past, what we've done is if you can't make it at the dais in the full exact verbiage that you want, you could direct staff to come do it, and then we can bring the reso back as a consent calendar item for your sort of just confirmation that we got it right. That's certainly an option if you want to keep tonight's meeting moving along.
And then I guess there's maybe a third option if we revisit this in a year, if that will delay the process, right? So this might be also kind of a conversation with the applicant potentially.
Yeah, so if you want, as a commission, to play it safe on the hours of operation, you could sort of say, it's approved until midnight, period. But as part of the standard condition number 9, I believe it is in the packet, it does say that planning staff will evaluate the CUP after 1 year of execution. My recommendation in that case to the commission, if you so desire, would be to say, and again, if there's support for this hour modification, to allow them to go until midnight, and then change condition number 9 to revisit the CUP after 6 months instead of 12, and instead of saying after execution, say after issuance of certificate of occupancy. That way you have a full first 6 months to see after they're given their keys to open the business, how are things going, as opposed to just execution, because 12 months might be plan check and construction.
Right, and I guess actually I was probably even thinking more on a more conservative set of thoughts of or line of thought. Where we would just leave things as they are and then revisit to extend to midnight at that 6-month timeframe. And again, just to kind of move things forward, not have to come back with a resolution, but then still giving staff time to come back with some findings at that earlier point in time in the future. So does that make sense to folks, maybe? Yeah.
No.
So
Can I respond to that since you asked?
Ask the chair again.
So before allowing you to respond, I want to see if Commissioner Leo had any quick questions for staff, then we can come back, and if there's a motion or if we need to reopen the public hearing to hear from the applicant, we will.
So my questions are, they're not questions, it's a frustration. So I'm going to let this go. I'll make my comments after the motion's made.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. Commissioner Wu, do you have a question for staff?
Ali, I was wondering if there could be a simple motion at staff discretion in working out with the applicant for the hours, because they may not want it, they may not need it after consideration and operation. You're going to be monitoring the parking anyway, and overlooking, and you already heard what the comments are as well. So, and because after we vote, I cannot bring it up again. I'd like to address the outreach. The previous outreach for the previous application that she was referring to, where we did delay it, neighborhood leaders did get notices in the mail and through flyers. And I know 2 neighborhood associations that address it to their membership and to their board. And they had the opportunity to come and decide not to. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is not always when you say, I did not get it, that they did not get it. Okay. They may not notice it. Other people were not as interested as the ones that did show up. Okay, and that's not putting down the ones that did show up, and it's not saying that the ones that did not show up are that. It's just what is, that when staff says that they did do the outreach, they did get the information, in this certain case, I was able to serve that did happen, okay? And there was a general effort to reach out to the public to have that outreach, okay? And I'm not siding with staff either. I'm just saying that in these cases that, I do believe the outreach did take place, okay? So we're here today with this motion, or trying to come up with a motion. So in terms of keep changing what the applicant is proposing, with color scheme and the name sign, I don't really have an interest in that at all. I just want to get the motion through. You guys could work out, he heard it, if he wants to do it, you let him do it.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Does anyone have a motion they want to offer? And before that, are there questions that need to be asked of the applicant for things that might be in that motion? Commissioner Escamilla, I'm looking at you because I think you wanted to make a motion.
Yeah, I definitely want to make a motion, but I think we should discuss this with the applicant to make sure that the adjustments are okay.
So you have questions for the applicant based off the motion you'd like to make? Okay. So I'd like to reopen the public hearing. So, to reopen? Okay. So I need, do we need a motion?
Yeah. Right, can we do that by a vocal affirmation rather than a roll call? Okay, by unanimous.
Commissioner Lee, okay. Commissioner Benninger's okay. I'm okay. Commissioner Wu, are you okay with reopening the public?
I don't want to reopen it.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Wu. We have a majority. We're going to ask the applicant to please come forward.
Yeah, so this is where I'm at. So I'm kind of just trying to figure out where you are on this. I'm in a public setting in the conversation. I want you to have the extended hours. I want to make that motion. That's kind of where I'm at, but I don't want to do anything to delay your opening. So I don't know if it's more important to have the extended hours, and it might be maybe a 2 to 3 week delay. I'm not really quite sure, right? But where you would have the extended hours and that recommendation would potentially be coming in from the Planning Commission to go until 11, midnight, whatever those hours are. Or to kind of leave it as is and revisit extending the hours at a 6-month timeframe, and if that makes more sense to you. So I'm actually wondering what makes more sense to you. So that's really kind of question number one. Yeah.
It will take time to do the process, like. Bueno, right.
So the commission is seeking to just know tonight if you're amenable to these three conditions. So the first would be if you would like to take their offer to extend your hours for you. And then secondly, the signage. And thirdly, the red and black fencing colors. You can just simply say yes or no.
In three, we are perfectly yes.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Thank you. And then I have one additional question. Would you be open to meeting with the community, so the residents that live across the street and nearby, and hear any of the concerns that they might have?
After, yes.
After, but not before?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're in compliance and everything, so I think after we can do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Great, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Oh, yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the CUP with the modifications discussed, including the additional signage to be completed at the recommendation or discretion of staff, to include the Santa Ana name where feasible. Number 2, the extended hours up until midnight for operations with a 6-month check-in after the after the certificate of occupancy has been issued. And then number 3, just the inclusion of the red gates or, well, again, to the discretion to staff where appropriate, red and black fencing for the site design.
I will second that motion.
I have a point of clarification just for staff. So at that 6-month check-in, is staff also checking in with the, would that also be an opportunity for staff to check in with the 3 nearby neighborhood associations to see if any of the concerns expressed today are actual issues? So I heard concerns of noise, trash, and parking, and I am interested in ensuring that if any of those concerns become real, that they be immediately addressed by the applicant at that time, and that we're not like waiting for code enforcement to be called in, but that we're doing that there's a proactive effort.
Yes,
Okay, so that is usually a part of it, or you're saying we can make it a part of it?
we'll make it a part of it.
Okay, so with that, I support it. So I heard a motion and a second. Secretary, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Benninger?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Yes.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Pham and Chair Oliva absent.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to item number 3. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-11 for the property located at 1819 North Tustin Avenue, located within the Community Commercial C1 zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Commissioner Leo, did you shake yes?
No.
Oh, sorry. Great, so I see no disclosures. The case planner, Christian Santana, will provide a brief presentation.
Vice Chair, I think before this item, we were going to have some support from IT to reset the monitors for the countdown timers.
Okay.
Normally, they'd be displaying on the small monitor, so we just need a moment for that.
Do we need to take a recess?
You can take like a 5-minute recess.
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break.
All right.
Thank you.
I can write a check and go in.
Great, so our recess is over now that all the commissioners are back. Case planner Christian Santana, can you please provide the brief presentation on item number 3? Thank you. So our recess is over now that the commissioners are back. Case planner Christian Santana, can you please provide a brief presentation on item number 3?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Chair and fellow commissioners. Tonight we'll be presenting the request for to allow the construction of a new eating establishment with drive-through window service. Conditional use permit number 2025-11, located at 1819 North Tustin Avenue. With this request, staff is recommending approval of adopting a resolution approving conditional use permit number 2025-11 as conditioned. The general plan designates this area 1819 North Tustin Avenue as general commercial, and the location is within the C1 or the community commercial zoning district. Surrounding land uses, existing surrounding land uses to the north are a commercial nursery as well as a multifamily residential property. Towards the east is a single-family neighborhood, and towards the west and south are existing eating establishments. The lot is approximately 1.28 acres, and the proposed freestanding pad building is 1,025 square feet in size. A little bit of background onto the site. From 1960 to 1997, the subject site was comprised of various commercial uses, including a dry cleaning business and a service station. In 1997, the site was cleared to prepare for a new drugstore. However, this project was abandoned, leaving the site vacant until this day. According to the California Department of Toxic Substance Control, or DTST, the dry cleaning business and the service station facility had chemical compound releases onto the sites, which is indicated on Exhibit 10, which in 2013, the property owner entered into a voluntary cleanup program agreement to evaluate and remediate environmental conditions at the sites. In 2017, DTSC conditionally approved the site for redevelopment, requiring the appropriate vapor mitigation measures in its future construction, which, as proposed, the project includes with enhanced fencing and landscape improvements to not only screen the equipment from public view, but also act as a physical barrier from preventing anyone from accessing the actual equipment itself. Presently, groundwater is also monitored quarterly, and soil vapor is monitored annually by DTSC. In 2019, the city annexed the sites and the general vicinity from the County of Orange, and Dutch Bros itself is a nationally recognized chain and is expanding their national store franchise operations with offering an assortment of hot and cold customizable handcrafted beverages. This site would be Santa Ana's first location, with the two nearest locations being both in Fountain Valley, approximately 8.4 and 8.9 miles southwest. The establishment would consist of, again, a new single-story, 1,025 square foot commercial pad building. The overall development includes rehabilitation and enhancement of the existing landscaping into a more drought-tolerant type of landscaping, double drive-through lanes, a trash enclosure, and 24 parking stalls. 2 parcels would be merged as part of this project through a voluntary lot merger, and the hours of operation for the drive-through and the walk-up window are proposed to be Monday through Sunday, 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. No alcohol services or live entertainment are being proposed at this time. In the presentation, we have 2 photos of the site, a view from Tustin Avenue as well as a view from Ponderosa Streets. Again, right now, this site is currently vacant. There's no building on the site. The only structure on the site is the remediation equipment towards the rear. Here is a copy of the site plan indicating where the proposed order point would be located, as well as the commercial pad building indicated in red, and the pickup window with that arrow pointed towards the west. Here's a floor plan of the proposed site, of the proposed building. And here's an elevation plan of the site. The applicant is proposing to utilize a mixture of different contrasting materials, things like external stone veneer, as well as hardy plank padding, as well as trellis elements to kind of cover up various portions of the building that might be a little bit too blank. There's also a tower element included with the proposal, as well as decorative awnings. The proposed project will not be detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The project will provide additional services to the community, facilitate development of a lot vacant sites, promote economic growth, and contribute to the city's physical stability. The project is designed and will be operated in a manner that is not anticipated to create a nuisance for neighboring properties, particularly with respect to vehicular circulation, light pollution, as well as noise. Additionally, Dutch Brothers has prepared a traffic management plan to address overflow scenarios during peak hours. Under this plan, Dutch Bros will deploy employees to care areas of the site along the drive-through to expedite operations. These employees are classified as drink runners, line busters, and traffic coordinators. And I'll go over the employees in a minute. So according to the traffic management plan, we have different classifications for the employees that would be assisting with traffic operations on the site. So the line buster is intended to increase the number of customer orders at any given time, ensuring that there's at least 2-foot gap between cars and ensuring that the customers move forward when appropriate. The line busters would also ensure that this drive-through is utilized to its maximum extent to keep as many cars inside the drive-through as possible. Drink runners specifically will deliver completed drink orders to customers in line before they reach the pickup window. This ensures that the escape line is utilized and the customers leave the queue when their order is ready, as opposed to waiting in line for the vehicle in front of them to leave. There's also the Dutch Bros traffic coordinators, which will direct traffic in and out of the location, ensuring vehicles do not block critical areas that would otherwise restrict traffic flow. This includes ensuring the parking lot remains usable and ensuring that the drive-through exit area is not blocked as a way of managing traffic queuing and ensuring the line moves smoothly throughout the site. Additionally, during overflow scenarios, from when the queue extends past the drive-through entrance, access from Ponderosa Street would be restricted, and the drive-through queue would only be accessed through Tustin Avenue, frontage road. Additionally, the temporary Additionally, temporary directional signage would be placed to assist customers with navigating through the sites. This is where Dutch Bros traffic coordinators would also be available to assist customers as they enter the sites and wait in line. In addition to the traffic management plan that was proposed, staff has proposed additional conditions of approval to address the initial grand opening period in an effort to ensure that there are no detrimental community impacts to the local area. This is condition number 5 outlined in the resolution. These conditions include preparation of a separate grand opening traffic management plan that would address on-site emergency overflow scenarios when traffic encroaches onto the public streets. The management plan would be implemented during the first 6 months of operation and be extended for each 6-month period should the queuing of the traffic of the queuing area extend into public streets. At the end of the 6-month period, the applicant would be required to provide the planning departments with queuing status reports on the average wait time, average queue length, staffing numbers, assigned traffic management stations, and directional signage. Failure by the applicant to maintain adequate traffic control measures would be whereby the City of Santa Ana has to provide traffic control measures would result in the cost being borne by the applicants and reimbursements provided to the city. Staff anticipates that with this grand opening management plan, any traffic-related queuing issues that arise would be addressed immediately, and this condition is also intended to address any initial vehicular queuing concerns during the grand opening period. When crowds become larger up front and then taper off as new locations open in Orange County, then the grand opening management plan would cease operations. Additionally, the project would also include an enhancement to the sites, which includes enhancing the northern property line with a 6-foot CMU block wall, with decorative landscaping enhancements like a buffer and hanging vines, as well as enhanced landscape palette like shade-producing trees. This would help address some of the noise complaints from the multifamily residential property that's directly south of the sites, directly north of the site. In addition, the location of the drive-through also acts as a natural occurring buffer towards any noise generated at the site in the drive-through area. The nearest residence is north of the site with an existing parking area with carports that's buffered at least 26 feet away from the drive-through, minimizing any potential concerns with noise coming from the sites. The conditions of approval, property maintenance agreement, and standards in the Santa Ana Municipal Code would also address any potential negative impacts from the site. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, otherwise known as CEQA, the project is exempt from further review pursuant to Section 15303 of the CEQA Guidelines, Class 3, New Construction. Environmental review number 2024-36 would be filed for this project. Additionally, there's no physical impact associated with this site or this project. With that said, staff is recommending approval of conditional use permit number 2025-11 as conditioned. The applicant is available in the audience as well as on Zoom, and we also have our Public Works team here as well to answer any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Does the commission have any questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Leo?
I have one question. So when I looked up the property and I typed in 1819 North Tustin, I got a site in Orange and I got a site in Santa Ana. What's the dividing line? Like, I know you have North Tustin. Google says North Tustin and it puts me in Orange, but then I type it in again and I put comma Santa Ana and then it puts me in Santa Ana. We both have North Tustin, or is the 22 the divider and it's South Tustin? How does it work? It's a question, because we need to kind of fix it. Dutch Brothers definitely needs to figure out how to fix it, because if someone types in Dutch Brothers, North Tustin, they may go to somewhere in Orange up around, I think it's Lincoln. So help me out here. What's the divider?
I think I might have an answer for you, Leo.
You have an answer for me? That's my only question. I think it's a great project. I don't have any questions.
So I guess that every city will have its cardinal kind of center point. So City of Orange has it at Orange and Glassell. So everything's north and south or east-west based off of that. Santa Ana's first and main. So that's it. And it really literally is just when you get into Orange or when you get into Santa Ana. And so there's no regional system yet.
I'm just wondering if we need to tell Google and the others, hey, you got it wrong.
They also have a North Tustin as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. Commissioner Escamilla, do you have any questions for staff?
No, I think it was just, I wanted to acknowledge at least one of the comments that came in on just the overall kind of use of drive-throughs. So we have a lot of them in this particular location. It kind of seems to be a naturally like off the freeway, two major intersections. So definitely see the need for, or not the need, but the desirability of drive-through eateries. But always, when I look at our newest and latest building developments and just development in the city, every time the FAR is just so low, I'm always like, well, okay, what else more could we have done here? It looks like there might be a lot of blank landscaping, more towards the residential side of things, right? And it might look nice, but quite honestly, it might also just be a dead area. So from like an economic productivity standpoint, what else could potentially have been done on this site to add intensity to it, so that it isn't just essentially one long driveway loop. But then that's really more on the developer, and obviously they can do with their property whatever the code allows. I do just always want to emphasize whatever flexibility we can add into the code to allow for additional building. I'm generally going to be supportive of, because we have a very tiny building, a lot of asphalt. So that's just what I see just from the initial site, just looking at the site plan. And that's really more commentary, sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Wu, do you have any questions for staff?
As I understand your analysis, is that you're covering the traffic mitigation because Tustin Avenue is very busy. Executive Director Ali, my question is more on, it's consistent with zoning, but you got a lot of fast food establishment all concentrated in one area with restaurants and all that. So we've done a good job of putting them there. The public goes there, okay, by the popularity of, what's that, fried chicken place, Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out, and then you got the Italian little restaurant that's not a restaurant, but you get something at the window and you have to find a seat, and Dave's and the Deli, So you got all these like nice restaurants in the area that's there, and there are empty leases, so they could take more. My concern is that how do you mitigate the concentration of traffic and all that? I think it's kind of wrong to judge this project because of the impact of all the existing project, right? So and I'm just looking for your guidance how to juggle too, because otherwise we will continue going down this road. Is there a point where we don't do that, or the marketplace is looking at those property in other ways? They're not all coming as a food establishment. I think you might be getting other ones. So.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Commissioner Wu, and we share your sentiments. We never want to sort of ascribe surrounding conditions problems to one project to have to solve all on their own. What we do know is that certain business types that are new to a region or that have like a fad following to them may generate inordinate amounts of traffic or parking demands that ordinarily another business that's already familiar to the area does not have. So we've all seen videos of when In-N-Out opened in Texas, for example, that the line stretched for like 2 miles, down the highways, right? Well, similarly, California is witnessing the same sort of fad following coming with certain establishments like the one before you tonight. But what's important to understand is that the city and the planning division doesn't evaluate a project solely on the tenant type. It's actually based on the sort of, or not on the tenant specifically, it's evaluated based on the business type. Restaurant, retail, grocery store, office building, right? Knowing that Knowing that, however, there are some operational impacts from a brand-new business like an In-N-Out going to Texas or like a Dutch Brothers coming here to Santa Ana, though you are within your purview as a commission to adopt the recommended conditions of approval that are meant to address worst-case scenario as a means of protecting not just existing communities, but this one that we annexed from the county not too long ago, making sure that all of our residents, whether they live in homes or multifamily apartments, other businesses that share this area too, forget the newcomers like Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out, there's shopping centers that have been here for decades. That's where these conditions of approval come from for just sort of thinking about worst case scenario. And if ultimately they're not applicable, then great. You know,
So
what we
staff role in working with the company that's coming in, looked at that traffic mitigation and came up with the traffic buster and all those positions.
That is something that fortunately a company like Dutch Brothers already has in mind in many cases. So we're just happy to mirror that in many ways. And I will say that for this project, staff went above and beyond and actually contacted surrounding cities that also have new Dutch Brothers to speak with their planners and understand sort of what lessons did they learn in other jurisdictions that we should look out for here in Santa Ana.
Thank you for providing insight as the staff worked prior to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Benninger.
Thank you. Excuse me. I kind of share Commissioner Leo's, this is a great project, and we're very fortunate to have Dutch Brothers that comes in because this is the largest community that they're moving into right now. On this traffic plan, as you said, the Dutch Brothers brought it to us, and you've talked to other cities about how this functions for them, and you found very positive response?
I'll defer to the case planner on his interactions with other cities, but from our experience, yeah, businesses like Dutch Bros and even In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A, they come to the city with operation plans already in place to reflect a sort of post-COVID environment where everyone's using drive-throughs these days. Christian, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Luckily, Dutch Brothers, again, came prepared with a traffic management plan already. With contacting the other cities on how their ongoing experience is with Dutch Brothers, they've all encountered similar situations with traffic issues, just areas that are just being overflowed with traffic and hopefully will be addressed over time as new Dutch Brothers locations become more prevalent in Orange County. And so that's where we added the additional conditions, specifying and being more specific in terms of allowing the city to have a more direct say in terms of changing this traffic management plan if needed to address any concerns that might arise. That's where that condition number 5 came into play.
Appreciate that. Of course, none of us want what's similar in my neighborhood where the In-N-Out Burger goes into Bristol and then around the corner into MacArthur, or on Edinger where you have that Starbucks back up into, Warner. But I did count the number of cars in that double lane and then estimated probably another 15. And my crude calculation says that you're almost going to have to have 45 vehicles lined up before you even enter into Tustin, North Tustin. And though I like Dutch Brothers coffees, I guess I can't see 50 cars lining up for it. I don't know if that was into consideration. Also, did you look at other flow patterns, or did they come with this flow pattern that they're presenting?
The initial site plan didn't change much. We did bring to the concern of Dutch Brothers in the events, this was the more appropriate site plan to pursue in terms of circulating the drive-through throughout the site and keep it contained onto the site as much as possible before it enters into the public right-of-way. Ultimately, with condition number 5, the backup plan is to have any queuing line up along Tustin Frontage Road, not on Tustin Avenue itself. So if it gets to that point, that's where staff would get more involved with the actual signage and more involved with the employees, making sure that everything is flowing directly and that the critical areas are not being blocked. Things like making a right onto Tustin Frontage Road or clearing the exit areas.
And for leaving the property, you will make Ponderosa a right turn only exit?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Going on to Ponderosa, there'll be a right turn only coming off from this property?
During the time of overflow parking, it would be an exit only, so there wouldn't be queuing through Ponderosa.
Okay.
Queuing would only occur off of Tustin Avenue.
And the exit will always be a right-hand turn on the Ponderosa?
I can double check with our traffic public works team. I'm not too sure, but that potentially could be a condition of approval.
Because you do have that on the Chick-fil-A and the In-N-Out Burgers, that the exit into Ponderosa is a right-hand turn, which makes sense to me on it. Also, will excuse me, will the parking lots be open to the parking lot of In-N-Out? Can people come through the In-N-Out parking lot to get into this Dutch Brothers?
The parking lots are open. They are intended for Dutch Brothers customers. However, there's nothing really preventing employees or workers or visitors from in and out from parking onto the sites. That may be more of a question for the applicant, but there's nothing restricting overflow parking from the other areas.
Okay. I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions for staff at this time? Great. Seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Good evening. My name is John Caglia. I'm the representative from Dutch Bros. It's actually well fun being here because I grew up in the city of Santa Ana and then we moved to Orange when I was 13. So I'm humbled at both. And I remember going to that Sears when I was a kid. My daddy picked up some parts, so it's nice that it's being reused again. Going back to us, obviously we're new to the area, but we're not the first store in Orange County. I'm sure a lot of you heard about our Fountain Valley store. We opened a second one 6 months later, which helped alleviate traffic. I currently have 3 other stores in planning or construction for Orange County. Garden Grove is about a month away from opening. Laguna Hills is about another month away from opening. And then Anaheim, we just got planning approval. So, a lot of the traffic you see, obviously, like the gentleman said right here, the first of anything that has a lot of hype behind it, yes, there are lines. We don't expect this one to be too crazy other than the first couple of weeks when we open. We're excited to be here. Like I said, this one's also special to me because I also entitled the Rite Aid that was on that site 20 years ago that I never built on it. So I'm excited to finally be able to build something here. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to stay at the mic for a second, just to see if any of the commissioners have any questions for you. Commissioner Escamilla?
I just want to say, thank you for bringing it in. I always love the nod to the windmill by creating a little tower for the windmill, not expecting a full,
Circle
thing or anything, but that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Benninger?
I'd like to welcome you and thank you for picking Santa Ana. I think it's a great addition to the area, and I do like this plan an awful lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu, any questions for? Great, thank you. And also just thank you. I think it's going to be great there. Awesome. So with that, Recording Secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Chair, we have received a total of 1 email in the form of public comment for this item before the 3:30 p.m. deadline, which has been distributed to the commission and posted online.
Thank you. Seeing as there are no members of...
If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. We have a request to speak form.
Thank you. I see Leah Beatty. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Please come forward.
Hello, good evening. My name is Leah Beatty. I represent the garden center next door on the north side of the lot to the Dutch Brothers site. And I wanted to know if it was okay to answer Commissioner Leo's question about the differentiating Tustin Street.
Yeah, so you can say whatever you'd like during your time.
Santa Ana is Tustin Avenue, and then Orange is Tustin Street. You have to type that in the maps, or else you'll get lost.
Thank you.
So my parents and I have been running the business of our garden center, Laguna Hills Nursery, next door since 2014. My concern is the parking situation over the past few years with the new construction and In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A, which we love, we really enjoy, and we are excited to have coffee because we love coffee and I can walk there. We have found parking very difficult. We currently have to drive around to the neighborhoods and park where the apartments are in the back, and we use the lot next door, the empty lot, as a overflow parking, probably along with all the residents of the neighborhoods around. And In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A, I've called to ask about their parking situations. They are also not allowed to park in their own lot. My business has a gated 12 parking lot. We are currently remodeling to provide 14 spaces, hopefully by the end of this year. But if we don't have any parking on this lot, we have 8 employees on the weekends average and 21 customers per hour on the weekends. During the weekdays, 5 employees average and 10 customers per hour. So it is very difficult. We've had a lot of complaints on finding parking, and it has driven some people away because they were frustrated not being able to park in our store. I do have a proposal that could possibly fix the parking situation. The medium that separates the main Tustin Avenue and the access road, if that could be allowed to have, instead of a no parking anytime sign, if we can have a customer parking only available during certain hours of maybe our business hours, which is 9 to 5 and 9 to 6 during daylight savings, to accommodate for the overflow parking that might not be available once the business next door is being built. That is everything. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you for your comment.
What is their business?
It's a nursery. They sell plants. Recording secretary, were those all the speaker cards?
Yes, we don't have any additional speakers.
Great, thank you. Before I close the public hearing, does anybody on the commission have any questions of the applicant at this time? Great, so I'm going to close the public hearing now. Are there any questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, no, I think the parking question is relevant, but it'd be more again to Public Works to take a look to see if there are any other like parking options down there down the road. I don't think it's necessarily say this tied into this project, but I think just overall that area could use any additional on-street parking that we could add. So that's more just a comment for Public Works to maybe take a look at, but I think that's reasonable to pursue later. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu?
Is that a motion to incorporate a customer parking only? And would that work staff?
I wouldn't be making that motion just because I don't know what like the solutions are yet. So I wouldn't even want to like presume what the solution is, but I would want staff to maybe look at it, but not as part of this item, just to look at it as part of their independent process. That's where I'm at, but.
Does Public Works want to make a comment? Or?
I guess.
So Commissioner Wu, was there a question for staff from you?
Well, no, that was my question. Is there some additional staff input on this?
On which part?
On the providing additional parking solution to like customer only as suggested by the nursery folks?
Thank you. Just want to make sure staff understood the question.
Yeah.
Good evening again. Yeah, so traffic engineering on behalf of Public Works, and we do have somebody from traffic engineering specifically, can look at if the signs can be changed or updated to something, but customer parking only is not really allowed by the state and the California Vehicle Code, so that's not something you can really just do on a public street per se. But it can be like 2-hour parking, 4-hour parking, those kinds of things. So that can be a request that can be put into traffic engineering, and we can get the contact information and then follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just add, what we do up here, it's the customers, but then also the residents, because I think right now the lot is currently used for overflow parking for the residents in the other neighborhood too.
Okay.
So then there might be a need for overnight parking as well, so just.
Right. All those things can be looked at and evaluated. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Wood, did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I'd like us to consider allowing staff to look at the issue and at their discretion come up with a limited parking solution to increase parking availability for residents and for the merchants there.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu.
Okay.
Commissioner Benninger, do you have any questions, and any questions for Public Works staff?
No, just when we make the proposal, I will suggest that we do let Public Works look at the parking situation there.
We will do that. And Mike Arizabal is new to traffic engineering, so I wanted to introduce him. There he is. All right. You see all the commissioners. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then my question for staff. Well, one, I request if Public Works staff and our traffic engineer could speak to our member of the public and just share what, if any, process might look like and what a timeline might be, just so that our member of the public, Leah, knows kind of what to expect and what may happen. And then question for staff. So I know there was interest in that, but that would not need to be a part of any motion tonight, correct?
No, and tonight's application is for 1819 North Tustin, not for an adjacent property. So legally, you're bound by looking at issues for this project, not surrounding properties. So your suggestions are taking a sort of like warm direction to staff to evaluate a bigger picture issue. So it won't go undone, but we can't include it as a condition for this project.
Thank you for that clarification. Wanted it to be clear for the record. Commissioner Leo, did you have another question for staff?
I'll bring it up in commission comments at the end.
Great, thank you. So with that, if there are no other, if there are no other questions for staff, I'll open it up for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Great, I'll second. And with that, Recording Secretary, can you please take roll call vote?
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Pham and Chair Oliva absent.
Thank you. So we'll now be moving on to item number 4. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-07 for the property located at 501 North French Street, located within the Downtown District, DT, of the Transit Zoning Code / Specific Development number 84, SC-84, Zoning District. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Great, seeing as there are no disclosures, the case planner, Jerry Guevara, will provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ramos, and good evening, Commissioners. This next item is a conditional use permit request by Santa Ana River Brewing Company to allow the sale of beer for on-premises and off-premises consumption through a Type 23 ABC license at 501 North French Street. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number 2025-07 as conditioned. Santa Ana River Brewing Company is proposing to occupy an existing 2,000 square foot building located at the northeast corner of 5th Street and French Street as depicted on the aerial view. The project site is located within the District Center Medium High land use destination of the general plan, and it is located within Downtown District of the Transit Zoning Code of Specific Development number 84. It is surrounded by a laundromat to the north, a live work building to the east, a vacant lot to the south, and a multifamily complex to the west. The subject site was constructed in 1981. In 2019, CUPs 2019, 26, 27, and 28 were approved by this body to allow the operation of a microbrewery with on-premises and off-premises sale of beer and after-hours operations for Noble Ale Works. In 2012, 2022, entitlements for Noble Owl Works expired as they never moved forward with the microbrewery improvements. In 2022, and this is just giving you guys background with regards to a couple of different state laws that have been adopted since 2022. In 2022, AB 2307 was signed into state law and increased the number of authorized branch office locations for a licensed beer manufacturer from 6 to 8. In addition, it increased the number of branch office locations that are authorized to be a bona fide Indian establishment owned by beer manufacturer from 2 to 4. And the reason why we're highlighting these two different state laws are because microbreweries, in accordance with the ABC laws, are not treated as a typical retail establishment. So they don't fall under the same requirements as a type 21 or type 22 or 41, 47 ABC license. So they're not subject to the over-concentration requirements. In addition to the prior Assembly bill, SB 389 was also signed in 2022, which authorized certain restaurants and alcohol manufacturers, including microbreweries and breweries, to be able to sell containers to go. In 2016, Santa Ana River Brewing Company has been lawfully operating a microbrewery with a tasting room at 3480 West Warner Avenue, Unit B, pursuant to CUP number 2016-34. And to date, we have not received any complaints with regards to this location. The applicant did submit the requested CUP application in March of this year for the proposed brew pub, and this will be Santa Ana River Brewing Company's second location in Santa Ana. This is a site photo of the project site off of French Street. This is a proposed site plan. Interior improvements for the project will include construction of an outdoor patio and a new roll-up door for deliveries, as well as restriping of the surface parking lot. As part of the conditions of approval and to enhance the site's overall condition, staff is recommending that the existing landscape planters along French Street and 5th Street be rehabilitated with new landscape, that the non-conforming chain link fence along the west and north property lines be removed, that all barbed wires also be removed from the property, and that the east block wall be repaired as needed and repainted with an anti-graffiti coating, and that the existing trash enclosure be altered to comply with current code requirements. This is the proposed floor plan. Proposed tenant improvements would include the demolition of all interior walls and the construction of a kitchen for service meal, restrooms, storage rooms, beer taps, and bar, and a new building entry to the northeast corner of French Street and 5th Street. Once constructed, the brew pub will accommodate approximately 60 patrons within the indoor and outdoor dining areas. The indoor area will be operating daily from noon to midnight, while staff is recommending that the outdoor patio cover be conditioned to only be operational Sunday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The applicant is not requesting after-hours operations nor live entertainment at this time. Should the applicant seek these additional operations in the future, separate applications will be required for those additional services. These are the proposed elevations. As I mentioned, some of the exterior work includes the installation of a roll-up door, as well as relocating the primary entrance of the building to the corner of French and 5th Street. Staff is recommending approval of the requested conditional use permit for the following reasons. Santa Ana River Brewing Company has a record of operating lawfully in accordance with city and ABC regulations. The proposed brew pub will be the second establishment of Santa Ana River Brewing Company in Santa Ana and will provide a unique establishment in downtown Santa Ana. The brew pub will be compatible with nearby commercial uses that offer similar service and will be economically beneficial to the surrounding area. The subject site is not adjacent to any schools, parks, and religious institutions. The closest religious institution, Alianza Victoria Santa Ana, is approximately 200 feet away, and Mariposa Park and James Garfield Elementary School are approximately 1,000 feet away. Because of these agencies to somewhat sensitive land uses, that is why staff is recommending those conditioned hours for the outdoor dining. In addition, as part of Chapter 41, the city adopted an outdoor dining ordinance a couple of years ago that further have additional mitigation measures to ensure that noise, light, and any odors are kind of regulated to ensure that they're not impacting adjacent neighbors or land uses. That will be kind of reevaluated as part of the building plan check process. The operational applicable to an ABC license and conditions of approval such as the annual review, good neighborhood policy, and property maintenance agreements will further mitigate any potentials created, any impacts created by the use, and will ensure that the use will not negatively affect the surrounding property. As mentioned, in addition to the over-concentration requirement not applicable to this type of license, the Santa Ana Police Department did review this application kind of using those similar lenses and determined that they have no issues with the requested application. Approval of this conditional use permit is also consistent with the general plan, in specific, the land use destination district center medium high. It also aligns with several land use element goals, 2.2 and 2.6, as well as with the economic prosperity element. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act and CEQA guidelines, the project is exempt from further review, and a notice of exemption will be filed with the county should this project be approved. There's also no fiscal impact associated with this action. With that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve conditional use permit number 2025-07 as conditioned. That concludes tonight's presentation. I'm here for any questions. The applicant and his team are also available for any questions.
Thank you. Do commissioners have any questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Leo? Thank you. Commissioner Escamilla?
Just a quick thing on the landscape plan. Oh my gosh, this site used to have, I think, 3 trees on it, and then had one that they attempted to plant for about a year or so. So wondering if that's going to be required again, just every time there's like an opportunity for any sort of tree installation. There's really only kind of the area that's, I guess, on, let's see, oh my gosh, why am I blanking out on this? 5th Street at this point. Is this 5th Street or Santa Ana Boulevard?
So you have 5th Street to the right, and at the bottom, it's French Street.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, I didn't hear that.
So 5th Street is to the right, at the bottom, it's French Street.
Okay, sorry, I always get confused as to where 5th Street and Santa Ana Boulevard exchange or change. Yeah, so I'm just wondering, the landscaping on that side, is it just going to be refurbing, but no tree installation or any kind of new tree wall or anything?
So the current landscape planters, Commissioner Escamilla, they're about 2 to 3 feet wide. You could recommend that trees be planted, but the feasibility of those trees surviving are kind of minimal. So that's kind of what we're requesting, just that those planters kind of be rehabbed.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Benninger?
Right now, the entrance to the parking lot is off French Street, or what street is it off?
That is correct.
Okay, and how many parking spaces?
They're proposing 6 parking spaces.
Is there a parking structure nearby that's walkable?
They believe there is a city parking structure to the south of this.
And you know how far away?
Oh, maybe a couple of feet. It's also owned by, well, yeah.
That's close enough.
It's a couple of feet. Should be no more than 100 feet.
Thank you. And what's the occupancy of the building?
The exact occupancy has not been determined yet, Commissioner Benninger, as part of the tenant improvement plans and their certificate of occupancy. That will be determined by our building division. But as proposed, you're looking at approximately 60 patrons at a time.
And as I look at this, they're not doing brewing at this site. They're just brewing elsewhere and bring it?
That is correct. So their primary location on Warner, that is where they have their full microbrewery establishment. This would just be a satellite establishment that's authorized just to sell beer, no manufacturing on site.
Gotcha. Okay. Also, keep bringing it up. This is going to be the downtown area. It seems like on Friday and Saturday, the 10 o'clock stop, it seems early for what we're going to generate downtown. What was the consideration recommending 10? Let me rephrase that. Did the applicant ask for 10 or did he ask for 1?
So Commissioner Banjer, staff's recommendation is that we just impose the restrictions for the outdoor dining area only. So they're able to operate till midnight indoors, but not outdoors. So our concern was the outdoor dining component of the project and that potentially having some adverse impacts to the adjacent live-work unit as well as to the multifamily.
Okay.
So that is our recommendation, but obviously this body has the authority to adjust those hours, should you wish.
All right. I appreciate that. I like the indoor hours at 12, so fine. Thank you. All set.
Thank you. Commissioner Wu, do you have any questions for staff at this time?
I don't know if it's been asked, but basically, it's a bar with 4 parking spaces.
6.
6, okay, and with outside area, right? And they're not operating the microbrewery here, right?
That is correct, Commissioner Wu, but I do want to clarify, they are subject to the requirement of a bona fide eating establishment, so they do need to serve food in conjunction with beer.
Which could be potato chips. No, it has to be more than potato chips? Okay, that's what I want to know. So like sandwiches, pickle it, and the eggs. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have a question for staff and then I'll go around again. So I'm very familiar with this area. I know there's a large apartment complex right across the street, another one right behind it. I think on one of the slides I saw something about odor mitigation. Just want to ask more about what that looks like.
You say odor mitigation?
Yeah, I assume for like the outdoor
Patio?
dining maybe, yeah.
Yes, that is correct. So as mentioned, a couple of years ago, I want to say maybe 2 to 3 years ago, council did adopt a outdoor dining ordinance that kind of has specific requirements that someone needs to adhere to if they want to operate an outdoor dining area. So as part of the plan check process, we'll be working with our Building and Safety Division and our Public Health Department with the county to ensure we mitigate the outdoor component as much as we can.
Okay, and that's so that there's as little or as reduced impact to the quality of life of the...
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, just a quick question on the outdoor design. Was there any thought or consideration to reinstall or replace the awnings, or I guess that was a deliberate choice to essentially remove them? So just put on the historic commissioner hat on this one. Not sure how old this particular structure is and whether or not it was originally designed with awnings or not, but yeah, it would be that elevation with those awnings. I just don't see them on the architectural plan, so I assume that they're going to be removed, but I would encourage them to stay. It does kind of help kind of break the facade, and like that was the original design for the structure, and anything kind of in downtown, whenever we can restore an original architectural element, would make that recommendation.
We could definitely work with the applicant to address that as part of the plan check process.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff at this time? Great. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter? You can come forth. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just want to say thank you for having me. We've been operating in the city of Santa Ana for a number of years now, off of Warner in an industrial park where we are very hidden, but the community has found us and given us tremendous support. And we are very excited to be moving into the downtown area where the community will be able to find us much easier. And yeah, just thank you for having me and looking forward to moving forward.
Thank you. I'll ask you to stay there for a second in case there's any questions for you from the commission. Commissioner Escamilla, did you have something?
Yeah, just yeah, thank you, and yes, I've been aware of your other location for many years now, and just welcome one that's a little easier to get to.
Thank you.
Thank you. You may take a seat now. Recording Secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Vice Chair, we have received a total of 1 email in the form of public comment for this item before the 3:30 p.m. deadline, which has been distributed to the commission and posted online. If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you're calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait for a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Seeing as there is nobody here for public comment and there are no speakers, the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve this matter?
I'll motion to approve.
Great, I'll second. Go ahead, Commissioner Benanger, second.
I will second it, thank you.
Great, so we have a motion by Commissioner Escamilla, a second by Commissioner Benanger. Secretary, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Benanger?
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Pham and Chair Oliva absent.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess just to make sure all the commissioners, I expect the next one might take a little longer. Great. Seeing as we're all back, our recess is over. So now that our recess is over, we'll be starting with item number 5. This is the time and place for vesting tentative tract map number 2025-02 and density bonus agreement number 2025-02 for the property located at 125 and 205 South Harbor Boulevard, located within the Harbor Mixed-Use Transit Corridor Specific Plan SB2 zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Great, seeing as there are no disclosures, the case planner, Nancy Tran, will provide a brief presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. The items before you are requests by City Ventures for the vesting tentative tract map number 2025-02 and density bonus agreement number 2025-02. The project proposes to demolish existing buildings used for automobile sales and service and construct a 36-unit attached for-sale townhome development with 4 units proposed as affordable to moderate income levels near the intersection of First and Harbor Boulevard in Ward 1. Staff recommendations are to adopt resolutions approving both vesting tentative tract map and density bonus agreement. The subject property's general plan designation is Urban Neighborhood 50, is within the Harbor Mixed-Use Transit Corridor Specific Plan zoning district and is a subzone corridor. Surrounding land uses vary with commercial to its north, a park immediate to its east, residential to its south, and a warehouse, trade school, and manufacturing across Harbor Boulevard to its west. The site consists of 2 parcels, 125 and 205 South Harbor, and totals approximately 1.44 acres after the right-of-way easements. This is a site photo across the street along the harbor frontage, looking at both parcels. So again, the project proposes 36 units in a 3-story townhome development in 4 different buildings, approximately 9,600 square feet of combined common and private open space. The units will be family size, approximately 1,300 to 1,600 square feet, ranging from 3 to 4 bedrooms, and it also includes 3 live-work units, and the bathroom ranges from 3 to 4. All units will have 2-car garages, and there will be 10 open-air guest spaces for a total of 82 parking spaces on site. On-site bicycle parking is also proposed. The vesting tentative tract map request is to subdivide the townhome ownership and is subject to Planning Commission approval. However, residential development is allowed by right in the zoning district. In addition to the subdivision, a concession and waivers from development standards are requested under the state density bonus law. This is a site plan with a project showing the 2 parcels merged with vehicular access along Harbor Boulevard. These are the typical floor plans for the 4 buildings, 2 of which are the 9-plex in the middle. And these are elevations of the building facing Harbor Boulevard with 11 units. 3 of the live work units will be dispersed in this building. This is elevations for the 7-unit building behind and located closest to Figueroa Street. This is the elevation for the 9-unit building, or actually 2 of the 9-unit buildings on the building's southeast end. And conceptual landscape plan for the proposed species of trees along the street. There's interior in the site, including some in the common open space. This slide is just a refresher of the state density bonus, which encourages development of affordable housing in new developments. It allows up to 5 concessions depending on the percentage of affordability provided and unlimited waivers, both which are deviations from development standards. With the state density bonus law, local jurisdiction is limited in its ability to deny requested concession and waivers. This project is submitted as a state density bonus project with 4 units proposed to be sold at the moderate income level, earning 80 to 120% of the median area income and subject to a 55-year term affordability. Based on the percentage of affordable units proposed, the developers are eligible for a 6% bonus or 6 units above what is allowed by the general plan. However, they're not requesting any bonus units. They are requesting one concession and a few waivers. The project will provide 82 parking spaces, or about 2.28 spaces per unit, which is in compliance and exceeds the state density and local requirements for parking. This table summarizes the deviations from the development standards required for the zoning district. The developer is seeking one concession for providing vehicular access from Harbor Boulevard instead of the required Figueroa Street to its east, and they are seeking 5 waivers, one for building frontage, dimension, setback, common open space area, private open space area, and private open space dimensions. Overall, the project satisfies the purpose of the state density bonus law and harbor-specific plan. It is compatible with the scale of other buildings in the area. The deviations from access, frontage, and setback requirements are compensated with the project's enhanced architecture, articulation, and materials. And deviations from the open space requirements are compensated by providing ample programming, landscaping, and amenities in the common open space in the project. And the project also benefits from its proximity to Santa Anita Park, located directly east. The project provides additional ownership and affordable housing opportunities. As part of the conditions of approval, a property maintenance agreement and parking management plan will be required to address any potential negative impacts. The vesting tentative tract map is consistent with the Subdivision Map Act and the city's municipal code. And the project provides additional home ownership opportunities, which is consistent with the goals and policies of the housing element. The project is exempt from CEQA as it meets its eligibility for residential infill and threshold requirements for exemptions under Section 15195 and 15192. Based on the analysis, a notice of exemption will be filed for the project, and there's no fiscal impact associated with the project. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution approving vesting tentative tract map number 2025-02 as condition, but also include a new condition, which isn't included in the published draft resolution, requiring varied paint colors on the plaster or stucco areas to distinguish individual units and enhance verticality, as well as adopt resolution approving a concession and waivers in the development standards as memorialized in the density bonus agreement number 2025-02 as condition, including the newly recommended paint color condition, also not published in the draft. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commission for staff? Commissioner Leo?
I just had a couple questions. We had a project previously on Harbor, so I wanted you to walk us through a couple things. Walk us through the setback issue, walk us through trash or fire, however you want to do it, just so we have an understanding, because the last time we did this, we had issues with setback and trash collection. And we were trying to figure out how we would deal with the trash truck if the trash collection was on the street, on Harbor, instead of having to go into the lot. Will the trash truck go into the development? Walk me through both, Nancy, thanks.
Sure, let me just go back to the site plan. So their setback request is actually to exceed the maximum. The maximum is 8 feet on Harbor Boulevard, but they're asking for 8.5. And then for Figueroa Street, which is also a public street, it's also a maximum of 8. And if you kind of do a direct shot from the public right-of-way of Figueroa to that corner of that building 2, it's 22 feet. So they're also exceeding the maximum of 8 feet. And for trash, they are going to go inside the development.
Go in and kind of work their way through?
Yes.
Okay. Those are my only questions. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Commissioner Escamilla?
Oh my gosh, well, I guess it might be more of a question for the applicant, but was the extra like half foot like required for any particular design rationale, or is it they just wanted the extra space and the extra buffering from Harbor? I'm just trying to understand if maybe that was explained, or if not, we can ask the applicant.
I would defer to the applicant further.
And so quick question on, I guess, the Figueroa side of things. Will there be a walkway and gate just so that folks can like get in and go to the park and all that?
Yes, there'll be a pedestrian gate.
Perfect. And then overall, so when we do, let's see, so I'm trying to understand like what our minimum configurations are for internal circulation. So like ideally, or not ideally, but you know, the narrower we can get roadways, we tend to like say that they're more urban, they're nicer, they're better for everybody, at least from a pedestrian standpoint. In this particular case, we have a lot of drive aisles that are between 23 and 26 feet internally. So was there any kind of requirement on our part that they had to be kind of that wide? Because then that still ends up being at least like a 12-foot lane or 13-foot lane in some cases, where we can probably get down to 10 on a roadway. So I'm just wondering kind of where that extra width requirement's coming in from. Because again, we can either end up with either additional open space with additional unit square footage, or you know, just maybe another unit or two. Again, just trying to see where those requirements are coming in, if they're from us, or if maybe we're just a little zealous on how wide those internal circulation numbers need to be.
It is a requirement of municipal code.
So it's within our municipal code or within building, like, so is it building, is it public works, or like who's exactly kind of saying that they need to be that wide?
It's in the zoning code.
Okay, so it would be something potentially to look at then?
Yeah, so as Senior Planner Tran is saying, the standards for these aisles are in the, actually for this plan too, they're codified as well in the harbor specific plan, and they're in the zoning code. In the harbor plan, they're actually a little bit more, I don't know if the term is generous, but they accomplish more of what you're describing, which is not needing as generous paved areas so that you can actually squeeze the buildings together and then create more open space areas. So oftentimes we do work with applicants to get as squeezed as possible to really maximize those areas, but then there may be like turning radii or, you know, site constraints like at the end of an aisle where you don't want it to be so tight that a developer may just say, hey, from a sellability and maneuverability standpoint, we also want to balance that versus what the code's like minimums are.
Yeah, and I guess that's for me, just wherever that flexibility is, I think I would encourage it, because it does always feel like weird to me where, you know, we're going on this general road buffet or road diet option, right? Where we're trying to narrow streets and make them a little bit more pedestrian friendly, but then if our internal circulations are extra wide, you know, that looks a little, not just looks a little weird, but it feels like a little bit strange to me that we're doing one thing on the public right of way, but then on the private property, we're in fact encouraging even wider internal circulation paths. So that's really the only thing I'm seeing, because again, would love to have the extra greenery or just the extra square footage over, how do I say this, overly accommodating the excessive growth of the American vehicle. You know, like I think that we, you know, prioritizing one over the other, I think we should prioritize the open space and the livable square footage.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Wu?
5 out of the 36 condos will be moderate, right? So that's about 14%, right?
It's 4 units, not 5.
4?
4.
Okay, so it's less than that. Okay. My other question is, the concession we're making to have those 4 units is basically a reduction in setbacks, open space, and just little tweak things, right? Which makes it a very Spartan type of condo development.
I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, instead of a bathroom this big, it's here this way, or, you know, it's a rectangular long building, and it seemed like in the proposal, you mentioned concessions as stated. So I'm saying to you, the concession, instead of like 9 inches, you ask for 3 inches and stuff like that.
Yes, it's
Right?
minor.
I'm just confirming my understanding of the project to get this going and to allow the 4 affordable units to be in place, right? At an opening of another apartment complex, I began to realize how rich we are in the city to have a transition from emergency housing to the temporary housing to, you know, more permanent long-range housing and things. So this going down the harbor corridor provides another option for condo urban lifestyle targeted at the moderate home ownership, right?
Yes.
So that fits the range of the housing that we've been developing, right, Justin? Okay, that's what I want to hear. So the amenities will be, for the lack of open space, will be these trees and landscaping and all that, right?
That's correct.
And I take it they're going to have a maintenance plan to go along with that.
Yes, there will be a property maintenance agreement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner Benninger.
First of all, like Commissioner Mandy's, I'm from Detroit. We love our cars. Give us more. Very much like the project. If I heard the question and answer correct, there will be a gate that will allow access to the Santa Anita Park?
Yes, just for pedestrians.
Okay, great, because that makes up for concern of less open space. My concern is a single entrance into this complex. That's one of the things that we're giving up here, is saying single entrance. Has that been approved? Do we review this with the fire department or get any other input before this is suggested?
Yes.
Okay. I can ask, why was this project requiring just a single entrance?
Commissioner, and for the entire commission too, all projects that come before you have already been vetted heavily by the city's development review agencies, which are planning, building, public works, fire, and then occasionally, as needed, like community development, parks and rec, et cetera. There is usually a ratio of maximum number of units per driveway that's required by the fire authority. This project didn't hit that threshold. So the commission has approved this and similar configurations on other townhome projects that usually only have one driveway. I don't remember what that number is off the top of my head, but it's usually a significant number of units that triggers the need for a second driveway.
Okay. First of all, I think take the open land and convert it to something like this, I think is great, and then I like the idea of ownership. Will there be a community or leader management company formed to manage the open grounds? Make sure the trees are trimmed, the grass is cut?
I believe that it would be the home ownership association.
There will be a homeowner association set up. Okay, because also with 10 spots, and I like the idea of two-car garage, but I can see people parking a third car in that one of those 10 spots, and as long as there's a homeowner association to manage that, that's great. The only other concern I may have is from the harbor side. I sure would like it would appeal to me more if by just a color scheme or something so you could look at and see individual units. Right now, what they propose, it looks like it's kind of blends everything together, so you cannot tell individual units. Yeah, I cannot. To me, it looks like that's all just one front. Is there any consideration of changing the painting, or just something so that more distinctive per unit?
Yes, that was part of the modified recommendation from staff to add, this doesn't have it.
Okay.
To add a condition including, to include a condition that wasn't included in the resolution for very pink colors to distinguish the individual units.
Very good. I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. I just have a general question for staff, perhaps for the Housing Authority Manager, but just wondering how staff landed on this AMI, on these AMI levels for the 4 affordable units.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair Ramos, the developer led that request relative to the number of concessions they were requesting. So based under state density bonus law, they were requesting only one concession and a limited number of waivers. And so they were eligible to request the 4 moderate income units for the project.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that based off the type of requests they made, they're not required to go beyond that affordability level, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any other questions for staff at this time? Commissioner Escamilla?
Just a quick thing on the the waiver for the width of the porch, is that something that we're seeing like fairly common throughout the harbor-specific plan, where most of these developments are not going for that full kind of, I guess, in our ideal world, the full wraparound porch, and we're seeing slightly smaller porches just on average? I'm just wondering if that's like so consistent that we might need to take a look at that subsection, or if this is just the one case where we've seen it.
The last project, Santa Ana 8, did request a waiver for that as well. The harbor-specific plan was very, very particular. It requires 10 or 12 feet, depending on symmetry or asymmetry.
But we are seeing the units that are roughly like that wide, so we're pretty much expecting like full porch widths like in the design, but that's not taking into account like the massing breakups and everything else that we're seeing?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that might be another, can we modify the harbor-specific plan as part of the zoning code update? That's what,
As with any observation on the code, the public is entitled to sort of provide that feedback to staff to consider. But I will share, as a staff person who worked on a fair share of harbor projects as well, that in the past, many developers actually did not have a problem satisfying that code standard. What you're observing, Commissioner, could also be the result of changes to state density bonus law that have made it easier to request waivers and concessions without having to provide the justification. Whereas in the past, like when the harbor plan was first adopted in 2014, there was a little bit more effort required on the developer's part to say why they could not meet that standard. But now we're 11 years later, and it's just a different regulatory landscape.
Okay, yeah, that actually does explain a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Are there any other questions for staff at this time? Great, seeing none, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Kim Bridgetel, Executive Vice President of City Ventures. Really excited to be here. I've been working on this for a while with staff, and this will be City Ventures, if approved, 9th project in the city of Santa Ana and our 5th project in the Harbor Corridor specific plan area. And I have done all of the harbor projects as well as 2 additional, so 7 of the 9 I've worked on personally. So I love working in Santa Ana. I love your staff. I love everything about it. We have great success selling here. And so very happy, like I said, to be here. Just to answer some of the questions that I heard, was the concern about the trash enclosure location related to just it being kind of dangerous, being too close to Harbor Boulevard?
I think that was Leo, yeah.
No, it was, as the lots are oddly configured all over Harbor.
Right.
We, as a commission, have to figure out if a lot does not allow the trash to go in, we have to figure out how big the setback's going to be. Can you get the trash out without having to go on the lot? It's something we have to think about, and we had a previous project where it was an issue.
Got it.
That's the only reason I raised it, because I'm like, oh, there may be other projects, and that's why I asked. But the truck's allowed to go in?
Yeah, and the only reason I asked is because Public Works actually did ask us pretty late in the process to move one of our enclosures further south into the project to avoid any issue on Harbor Boulevard at all. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
And the question for us is, as we become more urban, other cities have trash trucks that pick up trash right out of, they don't even turn into the development. And that's something we may have to contemplate at some point.
Got it.
That's why I raised it.
I just wanted to let you know, yeah, that we did address it to make sure that it was safe and that there were plenty of opportunities for the truck to turn around and get back out without blocking anyone from coming in or out. With regards to the setback on Harbor, so we are at 8.5 feet, and the reason for that is actually also kind of goes to your last question, which was about the patios. So in order for us to maximize the depth of those patios as much as we could, 8.5 is what fits, and we would love to maximize as much private open space as we can. So that's the reason for that. The architect is here. We can put that at the 8 if it's, if it's something that is important, but the reason for that was just maximizing the patios.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I'm just always trying to understand from the applicant's perspective, right, and your perspective, what gives you the greatest amount of flexibility while still kind of creating that like urban edge. So it's more about just flexibility and, you know, avoiding the need to have to go through like a waiver process if the code itself is a little bit more flexible and understanding.
Got it, okay. And then with regards to a secondary egress, just to let you know, like I said, this is our 5th project in the corridor, and we've never had a secondary egress in any of them. So, and the one at Harbor and Kent, our first one in the corridor was much larger, like double the size of this project, and it still didn't require that, so just letting you know. And then as far as an HOA, absolutely, there will be an HOA here that will be responsible for maintaining all of the common space, common open space, the exteriors of the buildings, the roofs of the buildings, so it makes sure that the project looks good forever. And then the HOA will also have a management company that helps them manage and keep track of board members and elections and that kind of thing. So I think those are most of the questions that I heard. So I'm here, and the design team is here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I'll have you stay there for a second in case there are any questions. Are there any additional questions from commissioners for the applicant? Commissioner Escamilla.
I always have more. So a quick question, it's just that it'll be very random, but it's, I guess, unit number 11, P2. Just wondering if that's kind of a, it looks like maybe half of it is there private open space, kind of like between the, I guess, the most southerly wall and then the next property over. So I'm just wondering if that's like an opportunity to kind of essentially create a wraparound lawn for the person, or if that was just kind of seen as, oh, this is going to be a common area or a walkway. Just because the way that I'm reading it, at least from the site plan, is that it is, at least the front portion is part of the patio, and it kind of wraps around the front portion of the unit, but it doesn't quite go all the way. So then like it's going to be common open space, even though maybe the person would want to use it if it's right next to their building and it's like a premium lot. Again, I'm just wondering if that is a common area rather than rather than a private open space.
So the area marked out from the front door around to where that line is drawn next to the garage, that is private, and then it's common from that line back toward the garage.
Okay.
Or back toward the back edge of the garage.
Okay, and was that to count towards the common open space requirement, or is that just like, okay, this is going to be the area that we all want to?
That's just normally where we would put that sort of fence line, so that there's still landscaping next to the garage, and it's not just like a fence and then the garage. So we're trying to kind of maintain sort of the green and not have any areas deficient of that, but it also gives them a little bit of private open space as well.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Are there any other questions for the applicant at this time? Commissioner Benninger.
I just want to thank you for continuing to work in Santa Ana. I've seen some of your other projects, and you do quality work, and I'm sure this will be the same.
Thank you very much. I think those are all the questions at this time. Recording Secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Vice Chair, we have not received any public comments. If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you're calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 6, then 9 to unmute yourself. I will wait for a few seconds. Vice Chair, we don't have any speakers.
Thank you. Seeing as there are no additional speakers, the public hearing is now closed. Does anyone have any additional comments, questions for staff, or is somebody ready to make a motion? Commissioner Benninger. Oh, sorry.
I'm prepared to make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Benninger and a second by Commissioner Wu. Secretary, can you please take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Benninger?
Yes.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Yes.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham? Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva? Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Pham and Chair Oliva absent.
Thank you. Congratulations. That concludes the public hearing. We're going to now move on to administrative
I'm sorry,
matters.
Jetson, before you leave, Jetson, come in. Coming back. When it's my turn to comment, I have,
Wait, Commissioner Benninger, can you let me move to the comments really quickly? Thank you. So we're now moving on to staff closing comments, but I know we have staff that needs to go quickly and a commissioner that cannot wait, so I'm just going to entertain that comment.
we were all invited to the Affordable Housing Awards. And just to let you know, Santa Ana won 3 of the 5 awards. And that really says a lot for the work, Justin, that you and your group is doing. And I really appreciate it because I'm sure we all hear criticism of LA and how much money's wasted and everything else. And it gave me a real good feeling of what we're doing in Santa Ana is the right thing, and the city's getting their money's worth out of your department. I just want to say thank you for the fine work.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. So we're going to go back to staff closing comments, and I want to give an opportunity for our Housing Division Manager to join in the staff comments if you'd like. Seeing as you were mentioned, you get an honorable opportunity.
Well, Judson is technically staff, I believe.
Well, not planning.
Thank you.
He has another commission.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ali, for the opportunity, and thank you, Commissioner Benninger, for your kind words. I really appreciate that very much. You know, I wanted to share with the commission the thoughts I shared with entire room of 250 people that were there with us, acknowledging the city's work. Is that, you know, 10 years ago when I first started with the city, we had the largest encampment right outside our offices. And since then, we have financed the development of over 1,000 units of affordable and permanent supportive housing. We have 2 emergency shelters, a 200-bed emergency shelter, a 400-bed emergency shelter. And we have exceeded our RENA requirements for the last cycle, and we're over 75% of the way there for this current cycle. So, you know, in terms of Santa Ana being a housing leader, doing more for our residents than any other city, this is through the profound leadership of our commissioners, of our staff, and of our residents. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share those thoughts.
Can I ask?
Of the Housing Division Manager? Sure, we can make it quick.
In your speech on the project on Westminster Boulevard across from Northgate, you mentioned the partnerships that we have, from private enterprise to our millionaire tax to HUD and to the Federal Home Bank, you know, and I go on. And but we know that now currently, or we don't know, and we're waiting to hear how some of our federal dollars are going to be or not going to be available. And I was wondering if you have any sense with, because we did that by using all these multiple sources, which we've been doing since 1975 with the Urban Reinvestment Task Force going forward to today. So as a affordable housing person, you know, I'm just kind of curious from how the city your area has been hearing.
Yeah, I appreciate, I really appreciate that question, because we haven't had a forum and an opportunity really to educate the city's residents and to educate the city council and really others regarding the funding. So we are not concerned of our funding being eliminated. We're not concerned about our funding being eliminated. We are our funding for our Housing Choice Voucher Program, our funding for our Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships Program, Emergency Solutions Grants. We are not concerned about the funding being eliminated. Now, in terms of the funding, and there's several reasons for that, which I could go into detail later on after the meeting, but overall, we are concerned about the risk of funding being reduced and the funding being cut as part of the negotiation process that Congress is going to be undertaking until September 30th. But overall, we are not concerned about our funding being eliminated, and we are trying to reassure our staff when they're hearing that, you know, that they're not going to be laid off and they're not going to be out of a job, right? because it's just deeply concerning for our staff to hear those kind of rumors. So we're not concerned about our funding being
And I
eliminated.
understand Kennedy Commission is going to have a little meeting about talking about it.
Yeah, this Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Are there any other staff closing comments?
I just want to thank the commission this evening. Your questions, or commend you, the questions were very subject to the matter at hand and focused. So you guys did a great job getting through 4 pretty intense, varied project types. I have confidence that we can do this on an ongoing basis. So good work. That's stemming from the training that we did 2 weeks ago. So thank you again for paying attention. I also want to share that a group of us will be attending the SCAG regional or annual conference in Palm Desert this Thursday and Friday. Our assistant city manager will be speaking on a panel on fostering a healthy local economy for all. So Min Tai will be one of 3 panelists on that. We're very proud of him for representing the city. And I have a feeling that we'll do very well at the awards luncheon this year. So stay tuned for hopefully a positive announcement again on awards at the next time we meet. I will not be here for the May 12th meeting, but you'll be in great hands with Ricardo. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from staff? Great, moving on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Leo.
Yeah, I have 3. We had a unique project before us today, and I wanted to give a cautionary tale when we have unique projects like that. There was a project almost 20 years ago that the city missed out on because we had residents that were vehemently opposed to changes in their community. And it was the Tiger Woods Learning Center that ended up in Anaheim in the Wash. Tiger Woods, through people that I knew, contacted Dave Ream as the city manager and was willing to go into the Riverview Golf Course for underprivileged kids. There was a faction in the city that said, hell no. We missed out on that project. So I commend my commissioners for being open-minded about unique projects that we need to do. I travel around the county quite a bit, and Bristol-related comes up a lot. People were amazed that we were able to handle that and get it through. So just keep an open mind when unique projects come up, because I think they're going to come up in Santa Ana more and more just to do with the cost of land, and we've been flexible. So I think that's one thing. The 2 other things that I wanted to raise is we had a project that involved parking issues, and I don't know what our process is. As we intensify certain areas of the city, which we're doing in that area that we talked about earlier today, do we have a process to deal with parking intensity? Because as Commissioner Wu raised and Commissioner Benninger, there's multiple properties that are affected in that area, not just one. So how we deal with that is going to be an issue going forward. And I think the final thing is, we had a project in French Park. French Park is changing. And it reminds me a lot of the lab area over in Costa Mesa, which is hodgepodge. It's pieces all over the place. There's condos across the street. So if we can learn anything from Costa Mesa, get rid of the bad stuff, keep the good stuff, that'd be great. But I think we're doing some great stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leo. Commissioner Escamilla.
Yeah, no, I just, was there at the Affordable Housing Awards and definitely appreciated all the staff that came out and how many awards y'all came out with. So that was quite impressive. I think I saw Ali and Judson juggling 6 awards apiece or something. So there are a couple of photos out there with Ali, with all of them, just grabbing the prizes out there. But it just goes to show that, I think we're doing all the proactive steps, and staff has been doing the proactive steps necessary to kind of get these projects completed in the first place. And then just, at the end of the day, being what I hope that, the city of Santa Ana has always been, to me, a welcoming community that welcomes new people, new ideas, and, is also just willing to try out things. So, definitely love the work that we're doing here. Today was, I think, a good example of all of the various types of projects that we get, and looking forward to seeing them after they're open.
Thank you, Commissioner Escamilla. Commissioner Benninger?
One question, we were asked about the meeting after Memorial Day. Have we decided whether it's going to be on the 27th or 28th?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Benninger. For the commission and anyone listening at home, there will be a special meeting planned for Tuesday, May 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, because I had another committee come up this afternoon for 28th, so I'm okay now. Thank you. No, I just like to echo what has been said. I'm really, when I looked at the projects prior to this, I'm seeing names, I'm seeing people that want to put trust in Santa Ana, that want to bring things to Santa Ana. And I think it's a good sign for the city and for the future that if you look at where the Dutch Brothers, where they've located all of their other organizations or stores, it's the first time they're coming into a larger city, and that says they have faith that they can come, operate, and make money, which is exactly what you want, because that's going to bring jobs and it's going to improve the areas of the city. And the Foot Lab at Sears Building, I miss Sears, but it's been an eyesore since they left, and see that area improved is a real plus. So I really thank planning, because I know you guys go out and solicit people, tell them about Santa Ana, bring them in. That you're doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benninger. Commissioner Wu?
I think at one of the previous commission meeting, I was sounding doom and gloom because of the, see a lot of businesses going out of business and leases are up. I'm happy to report, as I drive through the city now, new businesses are coming in. So it's kind of a good sign too. And I think part of that credit needs to go to both Ali, to you and your staff and your leadership, and also with Justin on the housing side. This gives people a good way of looking at our city and what we do, and as such, they reinvest. And that's what all that I wanted, because the reinvestment will create jobs and opportunity and keep our neighborhood going and pay for a lot of the other amenities we want, like park services and youth programs. And without businesses investing, we won't have that. And I was kind of concerned because at the federal level, they didn't have that priority of thinking about communities and people. So I'm glad that where we are right now is we don't know until we know, but we hope that it won't be as bad as we think it is. So and so I hope to see staff continue to work to see how you could bring more revenue in to kind of get the things that we can get done here. Thank you very much, and tell your staff that.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. So just similar to everybody else, thank you, staff. I know this was a packed agenda, but it didn't feel too much like it, so thank you all for also putting it together thoughtfully. Also wanted to mention the Hall Awards, and first of all, thank you for inviting us as planning commissioners. I think it's great when we have the opportunity to attend and see the recognition that staff receive. So also want to give a shout out to our Housing Division Manager, Judson Brown. For me, it was very cool to be there. I used to be a housing commissioner many years ago, and to see some of these projects receive awards and at the time do what was considered maybe bold or unattainable, but now it's the new norm and they're really leading. So very happy to see that our staff is showing what can be done and is an example for other cities, and I'm sure cities throughout the state and not just Orange County. And then I also just want to note that this weekend is the OC half and full marathon. So for those of you that don't know, the full actually enters Santa Ana. So parts of Ward 4, maybe even Ward 1. So just FYI to anyone that's listening, there will likely be road closures. I'm going to be running the half, so I won't make it into Santa Ana. I'm raising money for World Vision, so if anyone wants to talk about that after, please come talk to me. But cool, well, with that, I'm going to adjourn tonight's meeting, and the next regular meeting is scheduled for May 12 at 5:30.